Whew. Alrighty, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Smudcast 875. Star Trek is propaganda. That's a very straightforward sort of sentence, I guess. Are we supposed to start quoting the essay? What was it? Just lost the tip of my tongue. Who's the guy? Orwell. All art is propaganda. He wrote a few essays and published a bunch of papers on that. That's what most people refer to. Orwell was kind of against all the socialism, so I'm assuming that was his thrust to write those things. But I'm quite sure we got lots of art that has nothing to do with politics or legislation or two opposing forces, anything like that. Whether Star Trek in the 60s was trying to send a message about politics specifically, I don't know. Some episodes surely. But no, it was mostly watered-down science fiction of the 60s, so most sci-fi fans or science fiction fans have probably been reading way better science fiction from the 40s and 50s. And Star Trek was like, hey, or Gene Roddenberry was a retired police guy, was pushing ideas to Paramount Studios and finally got them through. So you could argue some of it is, but mostly no. It's just fun, silly science fiction.
Wow.
And for its time, it was pretty cool. That's it.
Yeah, well, considering by what parts of it the left gushes about, it's you can frame it as post-scarcity space communism with interracial relationships.
Yay! Yeah, xenological relationships even too. Yeah. So,
yeah.
There's all
But they always leave out that the replicators, which you only have by TNG, I believe, or did
you had them in
did the original already have?
They did, but they were simple. They were like you had like little discs or little not discs, cards, and you would put them into the replicator.
Ah, yeah.
And then they would make like chocolate, whatever, or chicken soup.
They were still using floppies.
Slot cards, slot readers. I don't know.
Yeah. But the replicators require dilithium crystals, which are a super rare resource.
Pretty much.
So we don't have post-scarcity. It just looks like that to us on the receiving end, on the consumer end.
Yeah, it's like having, and they also had fusion power, but that was like ancient. Fusion power is not good. So they had a way better, way more efficient energy source called dilithium crystals. Exactly. And I think the Romulans had artificial dilithium crystals, and there were other energy sources by other aliens that had different propulsion systems, etc. But it was kind of like the same effects of, let's say, Star Wars, where everything just works, but it's all junk. But this was like, well, everything works at the same level, pretty much, until you encounter like a phenomenon or some super scary alien species like the Borg or something that's so advanced that you can't really do anything to. And they don't care about you because it doesn't bother you. It's like, little ants flying around their tin cans. Like, we don't need to concern ourselves. When some of the first few episodes of Star Trek had to do with like transhumanism and like super telepaths and just crazy stuff. So
crazy space entities.
Yeah, TNG was like that. DS9 was definitely like that. So,
I think that was too high-level science fiction, and that's why they moved away from that.
Maybe. I mean, I don't see Star Trek as that complicated. It's kind of like getting a short story and then turning it into a script for TV. It's very basic. You can't go too far. You can't go too long. And
that's what I mean. What I mean. The in the first season of TNG, you had like these giant mushroom things, and you had the space mind god thing. All of these really weird high level science fiction concepts, and that you have if you look into other science fiction franchises like Perry Rhodan, for example. It's that stuff is all over the place. That is the standard staple of science fiction. But Star Trek very quickly moved away from that and went relatively mundane.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating when you look at like the biggest series, I think was the Foundation series by Asimov, or probably the most well-known. That started in, I think, the 40s, and those were just short stories that he was just publishing, and people really liked it. So that first part of the trilogy of the Foundation series was like 8 years of just short stories, and then once that was, popularized, then he put out books 1, 2, and 3, and 51, and 52, and 53. So Star Trek is like, a decade or two after all this big ideas come out, and if you don't know the Foundation series, it's basically space communism and traveling and getting people to join the Federation or whatever, their version of the Federation, essentially. So, and even before that, there was The Outer Limits, this is why I was like, it wasn't Mr. Kirk, what was his name? The actor who played, he was in The Outer Limits before that. So I was like, oh, when did that line up? And that was right before he joined Shatner, William Shatner. Before
Miami Vice.
Oh, he was in Miami Vice? I can't remember.
He was Miami Vice.
Oh, geez, was he the chief, police chief? What the hell was he?
No, he jumped over the car, and
really?
at some point, I think he made a dent into it.
Oh my god!
Because he got too fat.
Oh Jesus! I don't remember him in Miami Vice. I was a kid, so I can't recall these things.
It's just fun.
I do know Miami Vice had all the guns. I do recall that. A lot of guns and cars. Guns and cars. Yahoo! Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, science fiction was definitely around, and I was about to mention the best episode of the original series was by Harlan Ellison, and he was writing that script for months and months, and he was done. Obviously, he's a fast writer. So he was done the first or second month, but he was at the Paramount Studios for like 7 or 8 months because they have to keep redoing it, and he was so pissed off by the end he just left. So what we got was a watered-down version from an actual science fiction author who previously wrote for The Outer Limits and other things, and it was the best episode of television that they ever made in Star Trek. And that was a thing he did not like. He didn't want his name on it. Blah blah blah. It was so bad
because it was not up to his standard.
Exactly. So science fiction authors of the 40s and 50s and 60s saw Star Trek and went, "Oh, that's cute." It's like, oh, it's on TV now. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna avoid that. So,
okay. So that's the hard way to say what I was saying.
Yeah.
If I get that right.
Yeah, it's kind of like, Dune is a serious book when it came out in the 70s, I think, and to be turned into a movie was like, oh, that's not going to translate well. And then it's like, oh my God, they actually made a movie. It's sort of like, well, I'm impressed it came out. But even Harlan was like, that is perhaps the most important science fiction movie of the 1900s because it was made, not because it was good. It actually came out. So
yeah, the problem with Dune really is that what it really is about, you can't really display on screen. It would be a very strange movie because it's less the interactions between the characters. It is less the course of the story of the boy losing his father, rebelling against the and getting revenge and justice for the whole for the murder of his family and the destruction of his house and getting rid of the tyrant and despot duo for that matter, the Baron and the Emperor. And about a little bit of magical stuff or pseudo-magical stuff in between. No, Dune is about consciousness, about the intricacies of politics, about humanity in a. I have actually trouble putting this into words.
Well, this is the problem with science fiction because it's so big. And
but
to reduce
these are not things you can tell without a narrator. I don't think.
Well, to reduce it to say, Starship Troopers is politics. It's like, well, that's part of the story, but it's not about jingoism and fighting aliens. That's definitely the meat of what's going on in the plot, but that's not the focus of the narrative. It's like I'm trying to think of like The Demolished Man. That's probably my favorite of the science fiction's stories that are influential. Like if you want to read
Demolished Man or Demolition Man?
No, The Demolished Man by Alfred Bester. No, not Demolition Man. That's the no.
It's also a science fiction movie.
Yes.
I'm just trying to clarify for the audience because more people are probably familiar with Demolition Man.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of great. I mean, there's all kinds of great 1900s era science fiction, but that one had so much going on, and it was about a guy trying to commit murder in a telepathic society. How do you do it? What's the process? Who do you do? Who do you use? Who do you cover up, etc. So it's got
Ask Bester.
Alfred Bester, yeah, exactly. It's the writer. and
Oh! I never thought about this. I just realized. Is that why the telepath in Babylon 5, his name is Bester?
His name is Alfred Bester. JMS took the exact name of the author and called him in Alfred Bester.
I never realized
you never did that. Oh, okay.
No.
When you read The Demolished Man, all of the ideas in there are exactly the Psychor on Mars.
Oh God! In my face.
Yeah, it's
blind.
Funny.
I was blind.
Well, okay. You'll immediately figure out all the ideas because JMS just lifted them. He's like, I'll just take that, put them in my book.
Yes, it's because he's always just called Bester. I never caught his first name.
Yeah, I know. See, when we think about good,
and I always only see the actor's name.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We talk about good science fiction, and we talk about Babylon 5. That's a great example. It comes from a guy who's written science fiction, who's read the good science fiction, and hired Harlan Ellison, hired all these other science fiction writers and fantasy writers to do his scripts when he was like he did 96% of the scripts in Babylon 5, and then those little episodes he gave to like Neil Gaiman and Ellison and whomever. And these guys are hardcore writers, so it's like, all right, you guys know what to do. Quality will be a little different, but that's okay. The tone will be a little different, but you remember those episodes so well. And Alfred Bester was one of the best characters, and there's a lot of good characters in Bab 5, but he's very memorable, aside from being Chekhov and the performance. But the plots, what was going on with Ironheart, I think his name was, with Leda, with Miss Winters, like all of that is all just through The Demolished Man. But, it's not my favorite book. It's just one of the most influential ones for what it was worth. And this is all in the 50s. This is like way before Star Trek came around. So if you think...
Star Trek is the popularization of science fiction.
Exactly. It's putting into the mainstream, and people who don't know science fiction, or I guess people even who do a little bit, will be like, oh, wow, this is my thing. But it was seen more as a cultural moment than it was as a science fiction moment, I think, because these ideas from science fiction readers and authors are like, oh, you're trying to, act it out on stage, on TV, with the limited budget they had and the technology for special effects and cinematography. So it was like, that is at least something, at least there's something out there that lasted like 3 years or whatever, 2.5, whatever it was. So anyway, is it propaganda? I still don't think so. I still think it's...
I had just one thought about characters that were mentioned. You have really great characters in whatever you're making if the audience has a visceral reaction, not necessarily visceral, but a great reaction of, oh yes, that guy, and oh no, that guy, in the very same moment, at the same time. Not every character can be like that, but Bester was one of the characters that pulled that off.
Yeah, and the thing with the Demolished Man is the hero is, well, he's a villain because he wants to kill someone, so he's always thinking nefarious thoughts. But then there's the actual detective who's also nefarious. So you're like, oh, this guy's also pretty, like, he's really cool. He's he's a P1 or whatever they call the numbering system. So he's like the best that there is, but he's also... He lies to everyone. You're like, wait, how do you lie as a detective? And everyone's a telepath, but he could do it. So there's all these wonderful character flaws in these stories, and of course there's space travel and all this other stuff. I think they had punch cards in. I can't remember what technology, but the technology is so like off to the side. It's like, yeah, we got spaceships and we got this, that, and the other thing, but it's not. It's never like space guns or laser guns or they don't care. It just doesn't matter. It's not about that, and that's why when we read science fiction, even the Foundation series, to me, it's not about politics. It never will be, and it's the same with Starship Troopers. Even though the message of being patriotic and fighting for freedom is that's fine, but that's like one thing. That's one flavor. There's a lot going on in those books that you're missing the point if that's what you think. You come away from watching or reading these stories and going, oh, this is a political message. It's like there is a political message, but that's like 10%. So that's what I get annoyed with.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we got a long video. We're not going to cover all of it. We might speed it up. Almost 50 minutes.
And I assume from the thumbnail, it's not about anything we've talked about so far.
Yeah. Sure. This came out 2 weeks ago. I don't know what 3 products means. Oh, he's selling shit. Oh my God, look at that. I didn't know you could do that. It must be new on YouTube. You could actually see he's selling a t-shirt. He's selling another t-shirt and something that's $2.75. I don't know what that is. Anyway, came out 2 weeks ago.
Merchandising.
Yeah, he's selling 50,000 views. He's got about 80,000 subs. And this is about a 90% upvote ratio. So maybe the people coming in to watch this just look at the title and go, nope, downvote and leave. I don't know. Anyway. I think we've...
What 90% downvote?
90% upvote ratio.
90%? Well, that's good.
That's good, yeah.
That's good.
All right, let's get started.
There's something wrong with this map.
Why?
And this map. And these maps. Fans have made many maps charting with nerd-level accuracy the known universe of Star Trek. True nerds will point out that space has 3 dimensions, but given that our galaxy is 100 times wider than deep, it's not unreasonable to map its galactic empires on the galactic plane, because these are the territories and borders between the Klingons, Romulans, Cardassians, galactic empires. Or worse.
We are the Borg. Resistance is futile.
The exception is the United Federation of Planets, which, as the name suggests, is not an empire, but a federation.
Yes.
Which is the problem with these maps.
Why?
If Earth is a relative newcomer among warp-capable civilizations, how is it the center of the Federation?
Why not? What's the problem? That's how the story was set up. If you ever watched the Enterprise show, the last episode is them, making a charter about the Federation. And there's a lot of other alien species involved, and they agree to it, and then they get more later on, obviously. What is the problem with that?
Absolutely no clue.
The Federation has territories and a Starfleet. Is it really not just another empire?
No.
Man, you need to sit down and read a book about philosophy and politics. Absolute basics. Not from some 19th, 20th century activist, politician, whatever. No, by somebody really, really old, like 2,000 years old or more.
I know
to
there's...
get a definition of these terms.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you can explain a group of people or cities, like city-states or tribes or whatever, that aren't declaring themselves as a unified culture or society or country, but they're still together, like a confederation. It's like, okay, we all believe in the same things or relatively within our levels of support, but we're not going to be aggressive to each other. We're not going to do crazy things. We're not going to hide things, et cetera, et cetera. We're all going to get along. That's kind of the idea. And there's
you
many
can leave
flavors.
a federation.
Yeah, there's many versions of that. The same with like a republic. There's all these flavors of grouping together for peaceful coexistence, whatever you want to call that. So to say an empire is a federation is not. I mean, not even a first-year political science teacher would look at you smartly and go, "What are you talking about? Just get out." Yeah, that's
okay. We have to take something into account here, which is, well, we will come back to the title eventually, but he has a very peculiar T-shirt that reflects his worldview. Can you read it?
Logos, mythos. What is that?
Reason, emotion.
Reason, emotion. Reality, fantasy, science. I don't even know what that means.
Science and fiction.
That's not.
So. Yeah.
I don't know. What does that mean?
Yeah. He has. The T-shirt displays a dichotomy between the left words and the right words.
You could have logos in all of these things. What are you talking about? You could have reason.
Yeah, exactly. There's a big problem here, where he thinks everything on the left side of his T-shirt are good and proper things, and all things on the right side of the T-shirt are nonsense. Emotions are very real things. They're just not always appropriate for the situation because your system might misfire or misinterpret something. Fantasy has its place, just like fiction. Well, those two words are actually very closer together, at least, in that they help you understand the world by simulating it. Or by breaking it down into its components, because that's how you tell a story. You can't tell every minute detail about real life in a story. You can't tell a story in a one-to-one time manner. That you describe every action in the same time it takes to do the action. Because then you're not really telling a story. Mythos is not the opposite of logos. Logos, you will think it will be there will be logic probably, but it is first the word, and mythos is made up of words.
Well,
all the things there also need to be logical in order to be in order.
Well,
and mythos often reflects very ancient history that has been turned into story, into metaphor.
Well, if you look at the second term beneath logos, is that reason? Like you're just saying logos, like it's the same thing.
In that interpretation, yes.
Yeah, if we use the Aristotelian, like he goes logos, ethos, and what was the other one? Pathos. If we're talking about rhetoric or storytelling or whatever the modes of persuasion are, I don't know what the T-shirt's supposed to prove, and I don't think it's a teaching tool.
He thinks of himself as an enlightened atheist.
I don't know. Anyway, it's a confusing for us. It's a confusing T-shirt because we know what these words mean. You're like, logos.
Yeah, and whoever made them has only a very cursory understanding, which is probably. But I think this is foreshadowing the entire issue we will see, in that all his reasoning is based on a poor understanding, poor definition of words that he uses.
Probably, yeah. Anyway, yeah, minute in. Don't like it so far, but we'll see.
The answer is that Star Trek isn't, and these maps aren't of the galaxy. Star Trek is about the culture that made it, and these maps are maps of its geopolitics.
Have you watched Picard? Season 1 to 3.
That's a horrible culture. Yeah. That is a horrible culture that made that. We don't need that culture.
They sort of inverted everything.
Yeah, that is the inversion culture. Is the one culture we definitely do not need.
So
it is the one that starts culture wars all the time. Well, it has one, and it should lose it.
Is it the most modern version of Star Trek, or was there stuff that came after, like the years of Picard season 3 that?
I don't know. Star Trek has it has been poisoned to death, as is the point of the culture war, just like Star Wars.
So whatever you think Star Trek is, it's pretty much been bastardized and turned around and made stupid after Picard. I watched the first season of Brave New Worlds, which I thought was a step in the right direction. It was actually kind of fun to watch, but you see it as a form of entertainment, not as a form of, hey, is that good Star Trek? You're like, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's on the right track compared to what came before. And then you get to season 2 and you're like, I can't watch this. This is bad. This is just dumb. So, and that's like, it's so sad because they finally corrected their course from, well, whatever Picard was trying to do. And it wasn't just nostalgia crap. It was its own thing. You're like, oh, Captain Pike retelling. Fine, cool, great. And then it ruined itself with not the politics of its age, but of the writers of today that ruined it. And you're like, oh no.
Because it's not about science fiction anymore, and science fiction has to be philosophical. It has to be about, if I had this idea, if this idea existed, how would it affect things? How would people interact with it? That is in the end what science fiction does.
It's the entertainment for me comes from thinking of a new plot you've never encountered in a setting with characters you've never thought of before. And that's at one end of the spectrum of English or writing or reading, whatever you want to call that spectrum. And then the other end is plots you always know. And it's a mystery which plot is which is detective fiction. So when you have two ends of the spectrum, to me, a plot that you can't think of or is so mystical or different and weird and unknown, and then you have a mystery of existing plots, and you're not sure which is the right one, to me, that's great storytelling. In between is all the drama and comedy and all the normal writing stuff, because that's transitions between the two. So with science fiction, you get this magical world that's plausible and detailed and colorful and makes some sense because it has all the stuff that science should develop, that we are thinking of in the future, even though it's, punch cards and thousands of years from now to get around the universe. Probably not. But that's what science fiction does. It teleports you to a new idea you've never thought of. And that's why all the readers love science fiction so much outside of fantasy, because science fiction allows you to use your brain, at least hard science, not the soft kind. The hard stuff.
It gives you even more room for that. Hey, Ginga. So what we see on this map is obviously, by his interpretation, likely a depiction of the real world, where the Romulan Star Empire is actually Europe. The neutral zone between it and the Klingon Empire, which is obviously Africa, would then be the Mediterranean Sea.
Oh.
As you can there see the Gulf, going through there, and the United Federation of Planets is the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay, I'm not going to bother figuring this out. Let's just keep going.
United States of America. Because Star Trek is propaganda.
We, the people of the United States.
Excuse me? Star Trek liberal
Is this AI?
I don't know who this is.
This is AI, right?
I think this is a person.
No.
There's a tweet below there.
This is AI.
Just because she has weird eyebrows?
Are we even watching the same show?
Can we
that is AI.
Please stop pretending Star Trek isn't a flawless blueprint for fully automated
Yeah, that is definitely AI. Okay.
That is gay space communism?
Okay, sure. Star Trek.
This is AI.
Trek has a
okay, I know what's going on. Okay. He has these tweets and then asked AI, can you make me a video that reads this line that looks like the guy?
Yep.
That looks like the icon. Okay.
You're probably one of those people who thinks the Prime Directive is woke because it tells white guys not to colonize people with forehead ridges.
The Federation is literally a post-scarcity socialist collective where healthcare is a right and replicators dismantle heteropatriarchy daily. If you don't see that...
Okay, I give him props for actually doing this one. Okay. I did not expect you would do that. That's good.
You're either a traitor or a Ferengi apologist.
The Ferengi?
The Ferengi are space Jews.
They're hilarious little space goblins, not a critique of capitalism.
Are you implying that the space Jews are capitalists? Which by the end of the show, who oppress women by even forbidding them clothes.
Yeah.
But by the end of DS9, they have a revolution where the entire society is turned into matriarchy, which will probably destroy the Ferengi completely. I would have so loved to see the conclusion of that.
Oh, God.
Not commies.
Just because they have a diverse crew and allegories for racism doesn't mean it's propaganda. It's just basic human decency.
Gene Roddenberry was a patriot who loved explosions and space flags.
What?
Star Trek is
What?
not propaganda.
Can you imagine?
I mean, the space communism at least makes more. You can actually argue that over the last one.
He likes explosions. Like, what? No.
There are not that many explosions in Star Trek.
How great it is to sit there and be able to propagandize a whole nation. I propagandize for what I believe in. Propaganda. What I believe art is comment. Whether you work.
Death of the author's a thing, so who cares? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted.
Stone or.
You know, some of the crazy things he wanted for TNG.
Oh God, yeah, no, I forgot about them.
The dolphins in the walls that can telepathically communicate with everyone.
Yeah, I know, because Peter David wrote about that in his novels or his novellas, because he put a dolphin in Heart of Darkness, Demon's Heart, and they had this. Oh God, it was like this a force field with water in it, and they were flying through the ship, and it was just, and they were communicating telepathically. It's like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah,
Didn't he want one of the female characters to have 3 boobs?
Yep. He wanted to have 2 heads on some people, or 3 arms, or all kinds of stupid shit in the original series, even. So, yeah, he was a fun guy.
Yeah, we don't have the water tunnels for dolphins in the walls of the Enterprise because the studio said it's too expensive. We can't do that. There you go. Capitalism ruined it yet again. That's why we don't have telepathic dolphins in the walls.
I still love on the bio bed in Sick Bay, the original series. Kirk is like shirtless and he's doing like calisthenics with his legs, like pushing these 2 blocks into the wall, and they're seamless. Like they just hide into. It's like, oh, it's an exercise machine that's just like springs with blocks. That would make, like, that's very Star Trekian, because if you even in TNG, whenever they make something in the holodeck, it's always like this wood finished panel or this clean, sleek black thing with like wood or gray. It's very like, oh yeah, it feels like someone would design that, and the holodeck is just rebuilding it as if it would be a piece of furniture. So to see that in like an original series sick bay, it's like, yeah, the sick bay has to be most efficient as possible. So having an exercise machine, which is basically 2 blocks popping out of the wall to test Kirk's heartbeat, is like, yeah, perfect, simple, cheap prop. Anyway,
Painting on a canvas or music or what. The whole point of art is you comment on.
Did you just do a subliminal message?
Negative.
I wish that he wouldn't cut it, because it sounds like we're missing a lot of context here, but that's okay.
Tones, so I've seen them shake their head and frown and say, "Oh God, what an awful thing to have happen." No, it's not an awful thing, because I propagandize for what I believe in. Every other writer and every other person has all the rights in the world to come along and say, he is crazy. Here is the way it really is. And another one would say, no, this.
Yep, again, as I was saying before.
He uses the word propagandize very liberally.
Yeah, all the science fiction authors did not care for Roddenberry. They were not impressed by him. They were like, oh, that's, again, he's doing the thing on the TV. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
He's
making he's putting our story ideas on film
that were 30 years old
in a digestible way,
in a watered down, quick way that misses the value. Yeah, exactly. It's
inoffensive, digestible, like a Jameson.
Yeah,
this is the way things are, and it is out of this that our civilization is built.
Really,
values and judgment.
This isn't
that was
about...
Okay. Props to your AI trick there, and actually displaying the communist maniac as a weirdo. But I've been in Star Trek clubs since childhood. We did better beaming, transporter animations in the late 90s. Dude, please. Dude. Minimal effort, please. No, more than minimal. This was minimal effort. More than minimal effort, please.
All right.
As propaganda. Because Star Trek is propaganda. Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek as a vision of the future. And as we'll see in this essay, Star Trek has been supported by the American state and corporations to spread that vision.
Really?
Of communism?
Why was it canceled? In the 60s when, there was the Red Scare. All right, I guess you're right, sir.
Maybe somebody realized, oh no!
Propaganda, because Star Trek is propaganda. But what is Star Trek propaganda for?
Oh my God, that was like one sentence with the use the same word 7 times.
Yeah, but he's doing he's trying to do a David Attenborough documentary thing where he talks a lot and way too much.
And the answer to that question gets to one of the most important questions facing humankind today.
Oh, shut up.
Because the answer is not America. Peak Star Trek was reached in 1990.
What was that on the screen?
Damo?
What was that?
I don't know.
I don't know. He put something on the screen and he didn't talk about it. Like, what?
Death Offer Modus Operandi?
Final seasons of early seasons of Deep Space Nine screened back to back. Series creator Gene Roddenberry had died in 1991, but his influence was still paramount. Roddenberry had enforced strict rules on Star Trek writers.
I think the writers were happy he died, actually. It was like, we can do what we want now. And the Bible.
I wish
the Bible was just there as a guide. They started. That's why DS9 came about.
It was more or less like sad that he died, but we can take this chance to make a better show.
Well, there were so many arguments, and that's why the first 2 seasons even the first 3 seasons of TNG were so off. They weren't uniforms were different, chairs were different. How they were doing shots, this episode writing. Mind you, season 3 was the turning point, though. Right, but even then it was like, okay, now we're sort of getting into our groove. But by then, I think they got Pulaski, or did the Doctor leave then?
Pulaski was second season, and they got the first one back on track. Crusher back. They got Crusher back for third season.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No internal conflict among the Enterprise crew, and humanity was always to be shown as having overcome its baser drives.
Yes.
Roddenberry had guided Trek in his later years by summarily firing writers who missed his high standards. The survivors, including Rick Berman, Brannon Braga, and Ira Stephen Bear, would drive Star Trek forward, preserving Roddenberry's vision while growing it for the 1990s. Original Trek of the 1960s is eerily similar to post-war America. The United Federation of Planets is the United States of America, a new federal power surrounded by old empires. And the USS Enterprise is literally the USS Enterprise. Enterprise NCC 1701 and its warp engines are directly inspired by the Enterprise CVN 65, the first naval supercarrier with nuclear engines. Surrounded by dying empires after World War II, the new federal power of the United States devised a strategy to secure global...
Yeah, but the United States did not create a federation.
This is...
It just projected a bit of power.
This is like I was inspired by a book I read 40 years ago of a car design or, I don't know, some technology engine, and I made my own. It's like, that's great, but what about the thing that's actually in the book? What about the thing that's actually on the screen? I don't care. Oh, they got the name from a ship that's actually a real ship. It's a name. What do you get?
It also fits the purpose of this ship.
This is like, what are you getting at, sir?
I like that he also ignored Michael Piller, who had a hand in co-running the show with Berman.
Was he
after Gene died?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when he came on and when he left.
I think Piller probably was right before Gene died. He came on, and then he had proven himself enough to co-run the show with Berman by the time Gene died.
I do remember, was it 92 or 93? They came out with no, it was the 5th season. They came out with the Star Trek Compendium and then the Star Trek Technical Manual. And they came out roughly the same time. It was like a brown book with the technical manual with that Japanese guy and his wife, I think, made all the designs of the consoles and of the ships, all the technical stuff of how the ship worked. But the compendium was in the 5th season. They published that, and they talked about all the episodes, how they were made, in not too much detail, but it was nice trivial stuff that geeks would go crazy for. So yeah, I remember reading those as I picked them up.
Military power worldwide, with a fleet of super carriers, much the same purpose for which.
No, the ships in the Federation were not super carriers; they were pretty tiny. The Galaxy class.
There are no carriers in the Federation. They have no actual starfighters of any kind. They have the little transport shuttles. The very point of the Federation is that they don't really have warships.
Yeah,
they're all science vessels. The issue is just that the Federation does get its cake and eat it too, because they seem to have the highest technological level compared to all those bigger factions surrounding them. Which they then share with every warp-capable, willing civilization they come across within their space.
Which is the point of the Federation. Everyone gets along and shares their tech, and they get better together, whereas the Romulans are all secretive. They hide all their tech. They have all those treaties, so they can use tech that no one else can.
Not to mention the coup de grace of their arsenal, which is the cloaking device.
Which is why they had that whole ceasefire in the first place, that they allowed to have that so they could do their clandestine stuff and no one knows about it. And then you got the Klingons, which just want war weapons. They want more weapons to blow shit up. And then you have the Cardassians who just want to keep expanding. And
and the whole point, what I mean is, that's why the Federation, they do have extremely powerful ships. But that often outclass the warships of their neighbors. However, they are basically science vessels for one. They're explorer vessels, and they have their families on the ships.
All right,
with petting zoos.
It's like, if I can say this, like, wasn't their advancements in technology to the point where the Galaxy class starships outclassed everything else?
That's why the Galaxy
Navy without even trying.
Well, the Galaxy class is the flagship for that reason, or the Enterprise specifically.
They also had medical ships that just were designed to help.
Oh god, don't remind me of that fucking thing with the ball in the front.
Yeah,
the main medical ship has a sphere instead of a disc.
I know it, but it's so clearly stupid. They're designed for a very specific kind of like universal or galaxy UN that just want to democratize the world and get along with everyone and da-da-da. It's pretty obvious. Only when you get into the dark stuff, Time Zero maybe, and some of the weird Worf episodes where there's all this war, and you're like, okay, the alternate realities, they got crazy weapons on their galaxy ships. But yeah, then they brought in Voyager, and that was like this whole new tech thing where it's small and powerful and intrepid. They can do whatever they want.
Because the Voyager was specifically designed to be a weapon against the Borg. Same with the Defiant. That was specifically designed. That was leaving Federation doctrine in building a ship that is mainly built for fighting instead of anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
The Defiant was specifically designed as purely a battleship.
Yeah, and that was a big controversy. Can we even do that? Like are we losing our soul if we build this, if we fly this?
Yeah.
So we don't even want to touch it. Cisco hated the damn thing.
And it was like
but it was driven by necessity.
It was like a mini Corvette. There was this tiny, fast maneuvering, high powerful weaponry ship, and it's like, yeah, this is completely outside of the concept of Star Trek or the Federation or whatever, but that's what DS9 and eventually became a story about, was about war. So it makes sense that they would develop this tiny little compact, I don't know, pocket rocket ship that can do what was it, photon? No.
Well, yeah. Compared to something like the Galaxy class, it was pretty tiny.
Yeah, and it would just outmaneuver things and blow things away, and
not just a tiny crew.
Yeah.
And not just just being a battleship on its own, on top of the Defiant and everything that came with it. Also, the treaty with the Romulans to give it its own cloaking device as well.
Right.
Yeah. And consider this is
at that point the Defiant was a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and here's the thing that distinguishes the Defiant even more so as a purely military vessel from any other thing, especially the Galaxy class flagship. Because on the Defiant, you really only have the necessary crew to operate it, the military personnel. While the Galaxy class, as said before, the entire family of the crew is there. The women, the children, their pets, and the damn petting zoo. Roddenberry even wanted an entire amusement park on the Enterprise. But there was one episode in DS9 where another in the struggles against the Dominion, where another Galaxy class went through the wormhole into the Gamma Quadrant, and that thing got blown up by the Hirogen, and that was an absolutely devastating psychological blow to the Federation, because all those people are dead, all those families are dead, they're gone. Nobody's left. It's just you're dead in space. Bye. And that's why you go for military vessels at that point. And with the Dominion, you could still somewhat reason, but that was its own. It was a good storyline.
Yeah, they were originally good.
The Borg. Then you have the Borg. There's no reasoning with the Borg, just like there's no reasoning with the Bugs and Starship Troopers. Your happy exploration science vessel with its petting zoo isn't gonna cut it.
Yeah.
You don't want to take your family on that trip.
Yeah, which, as a reminder, the Defiant class was originally designed to fight the Borg in the first place, but then it was brought out of mothballs to fight against the Dominion.
All right.
Built its Starfleet. Star Trek's naval themes were emphasized to rescue the movie franchise in Wrath of Khan. The Cold War analogy of Klingons as the Soviet Union was so stark that the sixth movie, The Undiscovered Country, even blew up the Klingon moon in a clear metaphor for the Chernobyl disaster. Star Trek has continued.
Was that so?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Again, this is all like influence. Which caused the writer or director to make a movie a certain way? It's the Chernobyl explosion. You're like, really? Good for him.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I saw Hawk is giving us a nice history lesson in the chat.
Oh.
It says the real USS Enterprise survived all of World War II. No wonder they used it for the main ship in Star Trek. Agreed. Carriers hold small fighters. Carriers were invented to bypass the treaties created to stop battleships in reality. So, carriers in real life exist because the Treaty of Washington restricted the amount of dreadnoughts nations could build. So for every 5 US dreadnoughts, Germany could only build 1. So nations built carriers to bypass it. Nothing like Star Trek.
States the Naughties reboots made a series of cack-hand
The Naughties reboots. Okay.
gestures
The lens
to the war
flare.
on terror under director J.J. Star Destroyer Abrams. And as America descended into culture wars, Alex Kurtzman's various attempts at Star Trek.
Wait, what was that with McKellen?
I don't know.
He's Gandalf. Get over it.
He's Gandalf and Magneto carried over it. I didn't.
Yeah,
I don't
but he
remember much
did wear
about
that. He did wear that T-shirt. It was quite funny back in the day.
No, I know that. I know that exists, but I'm just like,
Why?
why is he showing that here in the video when a lot of
to
people
juxtapose it with the T-shirt that he put on J.J. Abrams. That's the joke.
That's fair. But but just speaking from my experience, I don't remember that many people like complaining that he was Magneto and Gandalf.
No, it wasn't a complaint. It was that anytime he went outside anywhere, people would Ian McKellen.
Ah, the Starstruck thing. Okay, now I get it.
Which has nothing to do with this video, but still. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like
the joke doesn't really work.
Of woke poses, lack of storytelling chops. Enterprise had been crewed by hard, bitten, and probably alcoholic naval men. Discovery seemed to be crewed by the post-grad faculty of a liberal arts college. Oh, and when the studio gave up and stopped even pretending this wasn't...
Are you Scott shaming for drinking whiskey? That's racist.
Chest-thumping pro-American heart as the determinedly atheistic Star Trek crew declared it had faith. But the 1990s, the late seasons of Next Generation, its movies, Generations and First Contact, most of Deep Space Nine's 7 seasons, and some of Voyager, if you can squint hard enough to ignore Neelix. And look...
I rewatched Voyager, I think 2 years ago, and it was really strange, because I was, throughout the decades, I was poisoned against Neelix, and I did find him a bit annoying as a kid, but rewatching the entire show, I thought like, no, he's actually not.
No, he gets better.
He's actually quite okay. He's quite fine.
Yeah, as a result of, well, when what's her name leaves him, he's more, becomes like a person on the ship as opposed to just a weird alien. So...
Yeah, and he has ideas. He tries to make everything a bit more wholesome. He fails at that and messes things up. But he's not a stupid comic relief.
Yeah, he's not.
He's actually quite wholesome.
There's the Tuvix episode, which is kind of silly, but
kinda.
He brings that.
No, but it is a good and it is an important science fiction concept there.
The idea that he's the galley chef or a chef because he knows the existing area they were in at the time, and that he knows certain produce and what ingredients can work, that's fine. If it was a bit more than that, then great. But he's just sort of the guy who's a survivalist. And the first episode with him was just like...
Well, he pretends that he knows the quadrant, which he doesn't really. But it's how he gets a safe ride. He's kind of a tag-along, like a known stowaway.
Yeah, and he's so excited. There's so much fresh water on the ship, and you're like, okay, this is silly. And
his idea is okay. You get everything from the replicator. It's all perfect, but that's all bland. That means it's all boring.
Yeah, if he was...
I can cook for real, and that will taste interesting every time.
Yeah, if he was more of like a Japanese anime character that gets picked up on a weird science fiction story, and he's like a mechanic or learns to be a mechanic, or he's more useful than just the chef. Because he's not much of a chef. He is the galley chef, but there's nothing really great about the storylines with him as a chef. He brews coffee differently. He makes stew.
He messes up the oxygen reclamation system by accidentally growing, what is it, cheese or mushrooms there?
Well, they don't do much with him. That's the problem. And if they just focused a bit more on him as a functional member of the crew, like the doctor, they just went crazy with him. it would have been a little more interesting. He was just there in the background half the time. So
yeah, he's a bit of a mascot, but still, when at the end he had his big send off, where he went down the corridor and everybody saluted him, as he went to the colony of his people that they had found. That was a bit heart-wrenching. I did not think I would actually care that much about Neelix. I would get an emotion out of me. That was really nice, because this lost adult kid had finally found home again, which is not something you expected. By the they dared to do that by the end, at least. There were a lot of other characters that the show could have taken as permanents, and the writers wanted to, but it was the studio that didn't allow them. They wanted to keep the oh god, I don't remember all the names of the aliens. The doctor, the woman doctor from the people who were always eaten alive by a disease.
The phage, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to keep her as a permanent and have her interact with the doctor as a team. They wanted to keep the reptilian historian archaeologist from the crazy theological planet, which were descendants of the dinosaurs from our planet
that was cool.
Went into exile into the Delta Quadrant. That was really cool, and they put in so much effort for the makeup, for the costume. And the excuse was, oh no, it's so much effort to so expensive to do the costume every time. The excuse was it wasn't just the mask, but they also did the hands, and that was just too much. That was just pathetic and a pathetic excuse. And you had the what was it, the 1670 people or 76ers or something? The people on the planet who were in cryosleep that were all abducted from Earth from different times and put into this 1920s society that was built for them as like a time capsule.
Yep.
And they wanted to keep that. That's why there were so many fleshed out characters in that episode. They wanted to keep those and integrate them into the crew, have some of the crew stay there, like Tom Paris was supposed to leave the Enterprise because that was his utopia, that was his fantasy. This time, this era of human history that he loved, that he always played in the holodeck.
Yeah, that was the episode right at the end. That was the problem with that episode, actually. I remember that because there was no plot. It was like, we found these people, they made a human colony, and there's a city over there. Yeah. And it's like, okay, who wants to leave? And then we wait and we wait. No one. Okay, back to the mission. You're like, okay.
But the actual idea was like that there was like this Japanese guy from World War II. There was this real cook that Neelix. So there was this little bit with Neelix who got not jealous but insecure about his position, because if there's a real cook, then he might not be the cook anymore. And all of these little crazy things, they were really interesting characters. And the idea was to take them all in. And they didn't, because the studio said, no, we need to keep this consistent thing that is every week is the same, so that people can follow. We can't make developing storylines because people are too stupid. In science fiction, people who watch science fiction are too stupid to follow a developing story. Thank you very much, Paramount.
Yeah, I remember that episode because it starts off with a truck in space. It's like, we're detecting petroleum, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what? A truck has a distress beacon? What the They find this bunker. Yeah, it's a silly thing.
And Tom Paris is like, what is this doing here? I love this, but why is it here?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's one of those episodes you forget about because it's just so like, what? Nothing really happens. That's the thing. But it could have been interesting. This is what you get when you watch like Farscape or any of these other knockoff, even Andromeda.
Hey, don't you shit on Farscape.
No. I'm just saying, like, you get these really bizarre episodes. You're like, what was that about? And it was so cool, but then they didn't use it, or they didn't have time to develop more of it. And the idea of having abductions like Amelia Earhart, like what happens with the Bermuda Triangle and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's cool. That's a standard science fiction plot. and to have alien abduction, go into another part of the galaxy and cryo sleep them, and all the humans that survived revere this place as a temple to the founders or whatever they called it. And you're like, yeah, that would probably happen. There wasn't much of a plot though, unfortunately, so it didn't really go anywhere. But yeah, this Voyager has these really good episodes and these really dumb ones. It goes up and down. It's really strange. It's like dating a woman. It's just up and down.
Oh yeah. Well, Voyager is I think Voyager has a very steady, Hi-Hawk, has a very steady level of quality. You can just watch through it. It just goes down your throat very easily.
Yeah.
But it has these little. It shows what it wanted to be.
Yeah, it's
like with the other little ship, the smaller ship that was all broken by the time the Voyager came across the Equinox, I believe.
Yeah.
Is it
and
Equinox or Equinox?
Equinox, yeah.
And that ship was what they wanted Voyager to actually have been. That there are people who just die on the way because of you have accidents. You lose more people, and the ship slowly falls apart because you don't have the resources to replace everything all the time. What is when your replicators fail and you can't replicate the repair parts for the replicators, and all of these little horrible things.
Well, that was the Year of Hell episodes. Those were great.
Oh yeah, the Year of Hell was supposed to be a season.
Oh, that'd been awesome.
But Paramount didn't want that. And that's why at the end, as well, they went with, time thingy, everything's back to normal. Goodbye.
It's such a depressing thing for the ending of anything to be, it was all a dream. It was all a time guess. No, we just regression.
Same reason why at the end of Voyager, they completely Deus Ex the whole thing with, here's future Janeway coming into the present, giving present Janeway all the super technology from the future, with which the Voyager now upgrades itself with automated armor. It teleports in with which to survive the Borg and destroy the entire network from within. It's right.
Well,
okay. Can we just declare that a fever dream?
They did that.
Wasn't there also Borg tech, explicitly Borg tech mixed in there too, or am I just misremembering?
Well, yeah, you're right. There was an episode of the 7 of 9's nanoprobes hooked up with the mobile emitter, which is already like 400 years in the future, and they made a new Borg called 1 or whatever. And he was just dismantling the Borg cube, just like he's by himself, and he sacrificed himself because he learned to be human. And you're like, if he just sort of held back or did that experiment one more time, you probably could have gotten home by now if you just used this advanced technology.
That was really great. There was some really great stuff, but these like one-shot bombs, like with one, that was great, and also that didn't lead to anything bigger. Okay, I can buy that. But other things are just such giant wastes and such giant just Deus Exes.
That, don't you?
Yeah.
You know why they did it? Because DS9 wasn't. Even though people enjoyed it, critics didn't really like it as much. So they went back to just having exploration in an unknown galaxy like the original Star Trek.
Yeah, which you can do, which is fine because it's Star Trek. It's about the Trek.
Yeah, but that's what. That's the reason why nothing ever stayed consistent between episodes.
Yeah, but it's because the board people are just idiots.
Yeah, that's it. There's that's the whole thing. They went, well, we can't have overarching plots because if you just watch it each week, you might forget what happened. So just every new episode, just start from the beginning.
Yeah, because even women watch soap operas because they want to know what's happening next time.
Mm-hmm.
How is everything going with the relationships next time?
Yeah, well,
and they can tell you every little detail about every nonsense that happened between characters. That what did they do? Who is that again?
Yeah, well, there were great episodes, but it was not consistent, And I stopped.
That's not my problem with DS9. Voyager was relatively consistent, but my problem with DS9 is that its quality is just jumping to the extremes of absolutely bloody amazing, should get an award, to can we just burn this trash fire?
Well, that's mainly because the people who created DS9 didn't want to put it on a space station until what's his name, who made Babylon 5?
J. Michael Straczynski, yeah.
Yeah, he sent Paramount a script for Babylon 5, and they went, "Oh no, we don't want it." Took a copy of it and sent it to the people who did Star Trek, and they just quickly put something together.
I've been told that story is questionable, but the problem is you have fans of either one claiming the other. So I don't know.
This isn't like a dig at like DS9 or anything like that. I'm just saying what you had was the people who created it. The reason why there's such a difference in like quality with stuff is because it's quite difficult to do a story on a space station, and where Babylon 5 works because the whole thing was planned out.
Exactly.
Whereas DS9, it was like, oh, we've got to do this, and then it's like, oh, what do we do? Where do we go from here? And then it's like you can slowly start to put together something in the later seasons.
Yeah, the problem of DS9 was that the setup of it was just utterly boring. There was nothing there. You have your relatively little station. Like the promenade was tiny. If you actually look around it, and who comes by there? It's above the planet Bajor, where there's nobody lives there basically, except some weird religious fanatics that actually deserve the Cardassian rule. The Cardassian rule made them better, and it gave them a better culture, and not the Cardassian culture, but it just dismantled their bullshit culture, and the Cardassians aren't coming around anymore, so they're not coming by. Who the hell wants to go to Bajor? So you have these shops on DS9 where every shop has a little clerk there, but what are they selling to whom? There's an ice cream shop there. Who the hell buys ice cream on DS9? And then you have we have our wormhole, but nobody goes there. Nobody goes exploring. And nobody's coming through either.
What is that? Let's get back to the video. I think we're having too many geek moments here.
I just want to point out with the main premise here of obviously Star Trek being was it military propaganda?
Propaganda in general.
Yeah.
Oh, propaganda just in
United
general.
States.
Yeah.
United States propaganda.
So far, yeah.
Yeah. Anything to do with the military, you can just like scratch that off because the Federation, I mean, it's showing Enterprise that the NX-01 doesn't even have any weapons on the ship because it's just literally exploration.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just go to space and we travel. It's not until they get attacked by an enemy vessel, and I think at the end of season 3 when it gets incredibly badly damaged, that they even think of, oh, maybe we should put some sort of like defenses on this ship, some like photon torpedoes or something, because it takes a hell of a battering. And throughout the series, especially in TNG, you see that weapons are used a last resort, because they're all pretty much like which says the science vessels with families and stuff, but the basic weaponry can like destroy a planet. I mean, I remember the episode where Data's in that village, and you shoot phaser blast to destroy their entire water supply, I think it is. And he goes, oh, this is a phaser on the lowest setting. The ships that are coming can do that to an entire planet. So.
Oh yeah, but that was kind of the joke when Voyager invented cobalt devices, which would just blow away the. I can't remember. Was it the caretaker array, or was it a planet they used the second time?
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, wow, they could just blow shit up with like no concern. Yeah, blow away a planet. You're like, wow, That's nuts.
That's what I mean. It's like we look at it and go, oh my god, that's like crazy powerful. But to like the Federation's like, oh, that's just basic stuff.
Yeah.
So it looks like they've got a really impressive military, but then it's like, oh no, it's just basic stuff, and we don't really want to use it.
That was that one episode of DS9 as well, where literally Cisco just blows away the atmosphere and everyone's on the planet's going to die. He's just like, I don't care. you call my bluff? Do you think I give a shit?
What's it called? There's an episode where in TNG they get knocked out and this alien race tries to use the Enterprise to wipe out their enemies. And they get told, I suppose, that the Federation been in a war for 100 years with this race of aliens.
Yes, that
and
was
as they're going through
a space station.
Season,
cause and effect, yeah.
Yeah, or something. And it's like they're plowing through everything, and it's just the fact that they're going, hang on, we're using like nothing, we're wiping these people out. How the hell have we been at war with them for ages? And it's the fact that at the end they go,
different episode.
Wait, we're not. Yeah, it's like, this is crazy. And it's like this. It just shows how not militaristic the Federation is. Because when it comes down to it, in war they go, oh, hang on, we're winning too easily here. Let's actually just stop firing and try and negotiate.
Oh wait, that's season 5 still. Yeah, no, I was thinking of the one that keeps happening over and over again. This is
that's close.
Yeah, this is Conundrum. This is the one with that dude, that first officer who's like not the first everyone knows it. Yeah. It's like watching an episode of Columbo. You're like, this is wrong. This guy shouldn't be there. What's he gonna do?
It's when they reach the space station, especially the hub of their mortal enemies. Yeah. And Riker goes, one photon torpedo should blow it sky high.
Yeah.
And they're like, how many do we have? It's like, we've got like 450 or something. And he's like, oh, really? And everyone's like, hang on, so you're not just going to murder all these people? And that's obviously when you figure it out. And it's just a bit like, yeah, even being brainwashed and tricked, the Federation staff's first fingers. No, let's not murder people. Let's actually
holding back a lot.
And even Worf is like, I'm the one in charge, and I'm like, this is not right. Like, okay,
this is not honorable.
Exactly. And the Janeways in the Federation are the exception. And if you think about it, Janeway is the correct captain for the Voyager in its original purpose.
The Voyager.
What? Well, she was.
An episode in
the Voyager was made to fight the Borg.
What's it? What episode is the Voyager where? Is it like the Doctor is on trial for the crimes of what Voyager did, and supposedly it's like this race's interactions with Voyager, and they got them all like in black leather uniforms and. The send down fighters.
Oh yeah, the Voyager Museum.
That's like 700 years in the future.
Yeah.
That was really good because again,
that's good science fiction.
The story is irrelevant because the setting is off, so it doesn't matter what time frame it is. So you can do whatever you like. But because he's an AI, he could just exist as a hologram. That was season 4. That was Living Witness.
Mm-hmm. And it's just the fact that. They thought that the Voyager had all these things and everything just because there was so much more technology. In reality, he's like, oh no, we don't have this, we don't do this.
It's basically it's basically what our weirdo people do about history with how did the Egyptians and the Romans build these giant things? They must have had help from aliens. They must have had super technology. No, you just didn't figure it out.
It's the
bias. No, it's whips. Massive whips. That's how they built.
Yeah, no, it was about like everyone thinks these people are evil like that. I can't remember the name of the episode, but it was that they were stuck in a time. The ship was stuck in time while the planet was accelerating in time way faster, and because the ship was stuck, it was causing this weird polarity with the planet. So there was all these earthquakes, and people were getting sick. So they had to like throw weapons at Voyager to knock it out of the sky, and every few hours it would make better weapons. The ship was getting knocked out. It was great. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, and the Voyager became the actual vessel of the gods.
Yeah, it was
because it was this unmoving thing, and eventually they developed telescopes to see it better, and then saw it is not a star. It is an actual vessel. So the gods are here, and they do punish us. Let's fight the gods.
Yeah.
Then they needed to pacify, somehow solve the entire problem, slow down the planet so that it works in normal time. Otherwise, they would have destroyed the Voyager with super technology.
Yeah, there's another way to get home. Wait for
great.
Be friends with these guys, and then wait like 2 minutes, and then they advance 200 years, and you're like, oh.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the video. We totally forgot about.
Admit that Voyager only struggled through those dull later seasons because
dull?
certain
They were the
people
best ones.
Were still tuning in for 7 of 9. The
Yes.
90s remained.
This is true.
She was a good asset to keep
Whisp,
viewer
I will
attention.
tell you right now, shut the fuck up.
But to count, yeah, 7 was
everybody-
awesome.
Everybody tuned in.
I know. And
There was many-
one
there
of
was
my school buddies had the cardboard cutout in his room next to his Sonic plushie.
My father made sure our entire family sat down for Voyager.
But
He got me,
what I
my
reject.
brother and said, "Hawk, I'm going to make a man of you," and put Voyager on.
Here's this beautiful German lady. But what I mean is, what I reject is that the later seasons of Voyager are boring. They have some of the best episodes in them.
It gets a bit
This guy's
samey
mental.
after a bit, and you are sort of just going.
Well, I want to talk about other science fiction concepts. Those are amazing.
I know that, but the series eventually just gets to the point where you're like, for God's sake, just leave, hurry up,
get it done. the rushing of the last few episodes, you could tell.
Yeah, that is those are definitely a problem. That's where we get is Janeway from the future being worse than Janeway now, messing with time all the time. This is the best plot or subplot of Voyager, where Janeway just messing around all the time for her own ego and for the crew, of course, but it's a lot for her ego too.
And coffee.
That this time cop gets so completely obsessed with her that he becomes his own villain, where in the end he arrests himself for messing with time. It's great. Beautiful. He loses his mind because Janeway.
Yep.
And Janeway gets away with it.
Well, she's a woman, so.
Well, I think 7 and 9 was involved in that a lot, so, yeah. Anyway.
90s Star Trek was no longer a mission of exploration. Picard's Enterprise is a diplomatic vessel, primarily managing the Federation's diplomatic relationships. Deep Space Nine's mission is...
Yeah, but TNG is still finding a lot of new places. They are still making First Contact episodes, quite a lot even. And the original series, they are not only doing exploration things either. So I'm not agreeing with the argument here.
Quite literally to deal with the fallout of colonization. If Bajor, with its peaceful Vedic religion, is the Hindu culture...
They're not peaceful. They're horrible. Do you remember the part where the Enterprise comes across this little tiny crappy Bajoran ship and then is hit by some temporal pulse that changes the timeline, and then suddenly it's this giant cruiser that immediately opens fire on the Enterprise? The Bajorans are shit. Horrible people.
Subcontinent. Then the Cardassian colonization is the British Raj.
What? No.
What?
So for one, Britain saved India, the Indian culture, from being completely destroyed by Islamic conquest that was still going on at the time.
Hold on. Yeah. No, with India, it's unfortunately we actually saved Islam because at this point in Indian history, it's mainly Sikhs and Hindus with the Marathas and the Mughals, and because we took over by making them fight each other, it allowed Islam to get more of a hold.
I thought Islam was still expanding in India.
It was under control because of the other two controlling factions. So you have to remember, with India, India as a country only existed because the British took over all of it. It was a lot of warring factions, which is how the British East India Company was able to take over, because what they would do is they would ally with one prince and then say, "Oh, see that guy over there? He wants to fight you." So they make the two princes fight each other, and when they got too weak, the British would roll in and just take the land.
So it was still more like the Holy Roman Empire of Germanic nation.
Well,
all these little fairy tale kingdoms.
From 1752 to 1854, it wasn't part of the British Empire. It was owned by the British East India Company. Until the Indian Mutiny, in which case the British government took over and got rid of the East India Company. So,
and he likens the Cardassians with the Ferengi of Britain.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Cardassians, which are the communist fascists that live the Orwellian dream.
Are we talking about Kardashians or Cardassians?
We are talking about Kardashians, of course,
Anyway.
because they wherever they go, they just sit their big asses down.
Anyway.
But the Cardassians are also the Romans.
Yeah,
all right.
The issue is whenever it's an empire, we go, "Oh, it's British Empire." It's like, yeah, we get it. We're the best at making empires. The best empires.
Well, since the Romans.
Oh.
The whole time.
Anyway.
The whole time.
Since the Romans.
Let's keep going.
In fact, 90s Star Trek constantly contrasted the Federation with the empires that surrounded it. With the Cold War in the rearview mirror, 90s Klingons were retconned as a generic representation of barbarism, plus superb hair. The Ferengi are often cited as a parody of American capitalism.
Really?
No.
Really?
No, they're space Jews.
Yeah, they are. Which is American capitalism.
Yeah.
I thought,
in a way, yeah.
I thought the Roddenberry said the Klingons were basically Japanese culture with, what the hell would he say? Not Vikings.
I thought they were Mongols.
They were something along those lines, but he had a heavy Japanese influence. That's what I remember reading. I was like, okay, that makes some sense.
Also,
the Stovokor thing, that is the Norse influence, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hawk?
Yeah, the Ferengi originally weren't with capitalism. They were
They were just space goblins.
Experience. Yeah, but their first episode, they absolutely tear apart the Enterprise, and they're like rabid Klingons almost. They're meant to be the big threat, but no one could take them seriously.
Well, they had those laser whips and
the fucking laser whip. Don't remind me of the fucking laser whip. That stupid thing. Pachoo! Pachoo!
Their mercantilist culture position, fundamentalist oppression of their females, and face makeup that has been called Jew face are more like a broad parody of...
Oh, so you do see that they are Jewish caricatures, but you still claim that's America? So are you implying that a certain minority of people run America? and decide its external politics? I don't know if we can leave you on YouTube.
Okay.
Does Susan know about this? Oh wait, she's dead.
Parody of how Americans saw the Semitic cultures of the Middle East, and really highlight how easy it is for alien races in sci-fi to become unpleasant cultural stereotypes.
They're not unpleasant.
Jar Jar Binks is not unpleasant because he's Jar Jar Binks. But the Ferengi aren't unpleasant because they look like Jews. They're unpleasant because some of them are horrible people. It's just
the way they're presented in TNG. They're mostly enemies, and then some of them are scientists, and then we get the DS9, and then it's Quark, and then it's the whole culture.
They take slaves. They actually take the Ferengi actually take slaves.
I do remember the argument was they never fought each other. The Ferengi never actually had any civil war. It was always commerce. It was always deals and conniving and stuff like that. So there was that wonderful episode where they actually go to Ferenginar and they talk about these things. So they flesh them out. So what he's saying is initially true, but it's like, yeah, but that was like when they first came up with the idea, and then they didn't.
In the beginning, you don't know that much about foreign culture. You just get this little blip, and because nobody likes 30 minutes of pure exposition. That's not how you tell a story. And
I'm also trying to think. For some reason, in the back of my head, we talked about with Ferengi and the women. I'm sure that they've got like a matriarchal system with the Ferengi.
At the end, the women feminism takes over in the Ferengi culture, and it will spell their doom because the women all introduce all this socialist stuff.
No,
it's like Dune.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you hearing this, George? Meanwhile, the Dominion alien shape changer.
Is that who's George?
Lucas?
Who, after millennia of persecution, have become a militantly expansionist power to secure their homeworld, are probably the Star Trek Empire a good writer would resurrect to be politically relevant here in 2025.
As what?
The Federation.
Well, as what?
Some empire.
What is he likening the Dominion about?
A good writer would bring them back for some narrative that they want to create.
Well, at what point? For what?
For
in a new Star Trek show?
For a new show, essentially, yeah.
I mean, there's this whole quadrant full of them, but they're also eugenicist mad people that uplift species and enslave others by hooking them on drugs that they cannot survive without anymore. So they're really super horrible.
Yeah, xenophobic. They're expansionists.
Well, I still have
genocidal.
Heard what does he think about these poor oppressed desert cultures that are expansionist empires for the past 1400 years?
I'm not sure where he's going with this comparison. I don't think he needs to speculate on what to do.
Also, why is he recording this in an abandoned building?
Oh, he's creepy. Who knows? He's walking
I was
around.
hoping you would bring that up because he's living in ruins.
Yeah, I'm just seeing him wandering around with his GoPro and a random dolphin. I'm like,
Well, he did talk about empires, falling empires, and well, he is obviously in the ruins of an empire here. It's thematic.
Oh,
shown
that's nice.
By contrast, is superior to the old empires it conflicts with. The Federation seeks not to expand by force, but by voluntary membership of strange new worlds who agree to abide by the Federation's values while retaining nominal or
like the UN.
Yeah, it's Space UN. Well, it's trying to be.
The UN bullies you. The UN bullies you into it.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to join us, or do you want to be threatened more by the other guys? Huh?
All right.
Huh?
But that's what it's based on, the UN. That's
of
it.
America's post-rules-based order, and those values of the Federation.
No, it's not Americans' rules-based order. It's the liberal order. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like rules-based. The Western world had, after World War II, this idea that this is the way the world must go. And it was liberal, everyone has all freedoms, everyone has, can do whatever they want. No, it's not American based. Okay.
I have a question about these columns. Why are they mostly hollow?
They'll be chimneys.
That scares me. Is he in China?
No, there'll be chimneys.
No, those are support structures covered in brick. It's normal.
Is it?
Yep.
Why would you build so much brick around them?
That's just what you do when you have brick house or brick structures. You have steel as the foundation of the lattice.
Yeah.
And then you cover that with insulation, like concrete, and then you cover it with brick.
But there's no insulation.
I know.
No, because it's abandoned, so the insulation will worn away, especially if it's open.
You mean the concrete just blows away in the wind?
It's like the rebar.
No,
it's
the insulation on the inside blows away in the wind. No, the reason why I thought it was chimneys because it looks like the lower half of a foundry. So
kind of.
But that's only because I've not seen the entirety of these ruins yet. I can't give a good.
He just needs
a description.
He just needs a spot to walk around with good sunlight, and it's like, okay, fine, here you go.
I thought he was in an abandoned water park because of his dolphin, but it doesn't look like that.
It's a school. It's a community center. Yeah, it's something old.
I do like the greens on the wall, up on the walls, though.
All right.
That's just for us. No, I'm just going to say, someone in the chat, Enigma, says because they're Americans, American rules-based order. Picard's French, for starters.
British.
A lot of...
trying to be French, yeah.
There's a lot of like different nationalities. The reason they speak with an American accent is because there's a universal translator. So people don't have to learn another language. They just...
It translates accents into your accent?
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's what it does.
It makes no sense. It's okay.
No, it's just Star Trek. So they make stuff out of nothing. They literally make food out of thin air. They can have a translator. Hitchhiker's Guide has the fish in your ear. Why can't...
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the fish.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. No, don't get into the details too much.
Weirdly American, including one notorious episode that pivots on Kirk reading the United
This was a good episode.
Constitution. The Federation's superiority comes not from any belief in racial superiority. It is a multi-ethnic, diverse and intersectional alliance. The Federation's superiority comes from its values, shared by all its members. Liberal values of equality and freedom.
I would say it's not intersectional because it doesn't play Oppression Olympics on who is more or less important because of superficial traits, which is what intersectionality is about and what it was constructed for. It's a tool to divide and conquer.
It's kind of irrelevant when you're talking about alien species that are so different that instead of being xenophobic, you're xenophilic for the sake of it. And I guess you could say that's a cosmopolitan view of...
Yeah, I don't think it's Star Trek isn't xenophilic as the left is in our time. I think it's rather just xeno. I don't give a shit.
We want you because you're different and you're peaceful, and we think we could benefit each other and learn. Because they just want to communicate and learn. That's all. The whole point is just this scientific discovery of everything and figuring stuff out.
It's also because humans had literally come out of World War III before first contact, so they've literally just almost blow themselves to pieces. They don't want to fight wars anymore.
Yeah, the Eugenics War, World War III. Yeah. So it's this whole process. We're done with war. We're better than what we were before. We're getting out of it, and we think we need to better ourselves, and we do that by exploring. And that's the scientific premise. And that's fine. That's normal.
And they started the Federation with the Vulcans, which is the space elves, which is the perfect fit together.
Exactly. Because they are like, we're already there. We've achieved that what you're striving for in the next 1,000 years. We've gotten there. And we're going to show you what to do. And they're always the Vulcans represent pure logos in that sense, and that working together, like humanity is just on the cusp of getting where the Vulcans are, and they're always
compared to all the other species they then encounter.
Yeah, that was great in Enterprise. They really did the Vulcans well there. They always see them as sort of like the little brother. It's like, oh, we got to take care of you. We're not going to push you. We're not going to teach you anything yet. You're not ready. But if you think you're ready, we're going to give you a test, and then some of them die as a result, and there's those like people don't like Enterprise for some reason. There's a lot of great episodes with Bakula and the death of this emissaries and parliamentarians, and then they brought in who were those blue skin guys again? I can't remember their names. And I can't. Yeah, they were the opposite of the Vulcans. Yeah. And they were
the Romulans?
No. They were the two antennae on the top of their heads.
Oh.
And they were so
those
emotional.
Ugly guys.
And they were the opposite of the Vulcans. And that was the whole bit, because the humans are sort of like half in each, because they're not pure logic, but they're not pure emotions. They're sort of like this buffer between the two. And that's because of that, the piece between these two rather opposite cultures joined the Federation. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. And I've just
remembered something though. In an episode of TNG, is it like revealed that every single species in the Alpha Quadrant is actually the same DNA and related to each other?
Yeah.
Because of that one group of aliens.
Yeah.
That made them. So
the Proteans.
So really, is they're pretty much all the same species, just with funny-looking heads.
Yeah, that's essentially what they did to the whole frickin' part of the galaxy. So
yeah, but you know what? They did that just to explain why everyone was like human and no one like looked weird, as in like
why you didn't have a lot of fish people.
I guess, yeah.
Or jellyfish or amorphous blobs.
And stuff. It's just like, humans with a strange forehead.
And if you have an amorphous blob, then it just eats Tasha Yar to get her out of the show.
Because she wants to do movies.
Movies, in quotation marks.
Oh, God. Did you see what you... Oh, you don't want to know what
No, we don't watch those.
Whose movie? What movie?
Anyway...
Go on, tell me, I've got time.
Sanctity of life, with or without forehead ridges. Values embodied in the federal political structure of the Federation. And in the United States, the culture imagining the Federation.
Oh God, these cuts.
So as the United States of America grew into its role as a global
It's a really nice venue.
There was a network TV show about a galactic superpower to show us that American liberal...
Huh? Hawk?
No, I'm just wondering why he's not doing all these cuts within this one sentence. I'm going backwards and forwards. Like, what?
He's putting good effort into cutting this together to speak seamlessly, but okay.
He could just
not
sit
sure
in one
about what he's saying
for a section and then cut to a different section. It's just a bit distracting. Hearing him go about a galactic superpower, but then looking at an inflatable dolphin. It's like, okay. Anyway.
Humanist values were values of the entire fucking galaxy.
I'm not sure. Is there actual democracy in Star Trek?
There's a council.
That's not a democracy. That's Soviet. The council is a Soviet.
I've never seen an election happen in Star Trek.
Well, we're all so enlightened that we don't even need to vote. We just all know what's best, and therefore somebody decides that already, and we don't need to think about it because everything's perfect. It's great.
Galaxy. And reassure us that the global hegemony we all live under, while not perfect,
Hegemony.
is fundamentally for the good. And making a good future, like Star Trek.
He just walked around in a circle.
It's a knowing nod to history that we meet the crew of the Enterprise D in their first cinema outing aboard the HMS Enterprise. The first recorded vessel to bear that name was a French 26-gun frigate, L'Enterprise, captured by the English in 1705 and anglicised
No one
to
cares.
Enterprise. 12.
I always care about the British punching the crap out of the French.
Okay.
Everybody does.
You take that, you French gits. We'll take the Enterprise from you.
Okay.
It's the great sport of Europe.
HMS Enterprises have served in the Royal Navy in the 3 centuries since, the most recent Echo-class survey vessel being decommissioned in 2023. James T. Kirk's 5-year mission to boldly explore strange new worlds is basically the mission of an HMS Enterprise in the late 1700s. The HMS George was a 10-gun tender captured by the Americans in 1775 that then served in the Revolutionary War as the first USS Enterprise. 9 USS Enterprises have served in the US Navy, including the under construction Gerald R. Ford-class supercarrier, successor to the ship which inspired the Starship Enterprise. In 1976, NASA, in a classic example of hyperstition, fiction shaping reality, named the first space shuttle.
Hyperstition.
I have never heard that word before.
Is it sewing?
It's superstition, but more.
I guess.
Enterprise is such a basic name to give an exploration vessel.
The reason USS Enterprise is famous because it went through the entire World War II, and because it survived Pearl Harbor by just the fact that it was out on patrol. So it survived. It got through that, and then went through the entire war. Been in many battles, and that's why they chose it for the name of obviously the Starship and Star Trek. And then obviously Star Trek became that popular that when the first ship went up, one of the first went up with the shuttle, of course they're going to name it Enterprise because it's famous. That's just how things go. If the most famous ship on TV was called the Bungalunga, they'd probably call it that.
Or the lollipop.
I don't know what to explain to people.
Good they didn't call it a Normandy.
Inspired by the NC Trek. I'm not saying the NASA engineers intended this, but I suspect that the era's politicians understood and improved the symbolism.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, of course they did, yeah.
Chat tells us that that fans wrote in for the NASA shuttle to be named that way.
That's fine.
This is the same. This is the same NASA that had a guy wearing an anime T-shirt, but they don't.
No, it wasn't anime. It was American pulp comics made by a woman.
Yeah, well, my point being is NASA doesn't really go about the politics of today is doing, because they're usually just massive nerds.
Yeah, it's full of nerds, and they probably watch Star Trek.
Yeah. They're probably, oh my God,
it's NASA, but why not?
One Enterprise, after explore and colonize the globe, was going to continue on to explore the galaxy. And at the start...
Who else has been colonizing the globe before the Americas and the British?
Well, who's been colonizing the globe post World War II? Because if you just think of it's American sphere of influence, and I'm sorry, but it's not really colonization. It's just people watching American TV and wearing their clothes.
Well, China's trying to colonize around a lot. In Africa especially, and it's constantly pushing its borders, like into Bhutan, which can't really do anything because they don't have a military of note. They're pushing their borders against Russia all the time, taking little few meters every day, as well as into all the other directions.
They're buying land everywhere.
Yeah, and they just claim, oh, by the way, all of those islands into towards New Guinea, that's all ours, by the way. Oh, not just those in the middle, but the ones right off your coast as well. So get off of our territory. China also fishes in the sea of other nations. They just turn off their transponders. So who's really colonizing right now? Oh, and then there's the other thing that we never call an empire because it doesn't operate on a nation basis, but on a faith basis that's been doing the expansion for 1400 years, and somebody had the great idea to just not even wait until there's a Trojan horse in front of the gates, but just open it anyway. Man, who's colonizing right now, huh? And who's been doing it before?
Also, I like how he's complaining about these incredibly bare basic liberal beliefs that really would be called. Well, I guess they would be pretty much called right wing by the left today, but they were just the bare basics of liberal beliefs post 45.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Genghis Khan never colonized anything.
Is one in a continuous series of vessels taking us towards our Star Trek future. The future of the Federation.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon, what's beyond our own shores.
By the 1880s, the British Empire covered a quarter of the world's land mass
and
1/5 of its population. And it was very expensive. What the British had learned is that while...
it actually wasn't that expensive because it didn't take much to run it. So, and also that wasn't even us at our peak either. 1924 we're at our peak, so we could get even bigger.
And it was mostly to the benefit of the places ruled.
Did you know what was it? I think someone figured out there was only 40,000 civil servants in making sure the entire British Empire ran.
How many civil servants does the UK have right now?
1.3 million.
Huh.
Yay.
And right now we've got trains that don't even run on time.
Same here.
In 1880, 40,000 could make sure the trains ran on time in India.
At least they were running. Okay, we have entire stations are dead on the weekends.
But yeah, I'm not getting like. So it's American expansionism. And here's the British Empire. It's like, what do you want? What do you want?
Profits could be extracted from its colonies short term. The long-term military expenditure on wars made being an imperial power cripplingly expensive.
Oh, you mean fighting the slavers of Africa?
He's literally going to show an image of the man who would be king, which is... Has anyone seen that movie?
It's been a while.
Not yet. I have watched Zulu.
No, this isn't Zulu. It's The Man Who Would Be King. It's with Michael Caine and Sean Connery. It's a good film, actually. But it's just about two blokes who get fed up with the British army and decide to conquer Afghanistan on their own. And then they do it and becomes the king.
Home in World Wars I and II, after which Britain basically gave up on being an empire. So
no, we didn't give up on being an empire. We literally it's very difficult to say freedom for all people and then have an empire.
Mm-hmm.
But also the reason why we gave up the empire is in 1945 who pretty much voted communists in, who hated the country.
Yep.
And they started the slow and gradual dismantling of the empire. And in terms of spending money, this is something interesting. The NHS's yearly budget today costs more than it did to wage the entirety of World War I for the British Empire. So money's not an issue when you can just keep spending it.
And the NHS isn't even aimed at healing people.
Yeah, because it costs every year £182 billion to run the NHS, and it costs the British Empire like £160 billion to wage the entirety of World War One.
Yeah, and if you're above a certain age and you get into an NHS hospital, they just actively leave you to die.
Well, yes, but
they don't give you water.
Yeah, they give you a cup of tea. It's all right. It's the same thing.
No. I have a friend of mine had that with his grandma. She had a cold. They kept her there, and then she got blood into her lung, got an infection. They just left her there and didn't even give her water. He fought to get her out. On the third day, got that. She got home, and you know what she wanted? Shot of Baileys.
Oh, I was going to say a glass of water.
Very British answer, if you ask me. But you correct me on that. You're the expert on that. And she made a full recovery.
But to go back to the Empire thing, it's not just we basically gave up. No, there were active fifth columnists whose whole point was to destroy the British Empire.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the country internally. And George Orwell wrote about that in his essay Notes on Nationalism, that every time the British forces lost a battle or lost units against the Nazis, the British socialists would cheer. Not because the Nazis won, but because the British forces lost, and it would weaken the British nation and give them a closer chance to taking over.
Well, yeah, right. You have to remember, Gandhi supported the Nazis in the war against Britain.
What was his reasoning?
They were killing Jews, and they could also free India. Gandhi hated Jews, by the way. This is like, like he actually.
I wasn't aware.
Yeah, Gandhi's quote saying the Jews should just kneel down and accept being beheaded by the Germans.
Nice.
Ooh. You need to give me some literature on that. I've never heard that before.
You just look it up. It's quite common knowledge nowadays. And we gave up our nation, gave up India to him, and then within a year, a civil war started, and that's how Pakistan was created, because the Muslims and the Hindus couldn't live together.
Yeah, well, Pakistan was a mistake. The Muslims should have just been thrown to the Middle East entirely.
But yeah, so his knowledge of like Britain after World War II is incredibly bare basic, and once you dig a little bit deeper, there's a massive web of reasoning. So it's not just we just gave up.
And I'm saying this just because in parts of India and neighboring countries, the Muslims have taken a big enough majority at this point that they are now killing the Hindus again thoroughly, and the Buddhists. It's what they do. They wait until they have big enough numbers, and then they do that.
Yeah, there's wars over there all the time.
It's not just wars; it's genocide. They get big enough numbers, and then they start killing the local population. That is not Muslim. They do this right now.
Let's go.
It's the weirdest episode of Star Trek I've ever seen.
Well, he's talking about empires, and that is a religious
the British
empire.
Empire considered an alternate structure of power. Plans were considered but declined to give Americans seats in Parliament, leading to the Revolutionary War against taxation without representation. Then more serious plans were debated through the 1800s for a new structure, with all of Britain's colonies represented in a new parliament, governing a global superstate. Some wanted this state to be called Greater Britain, but others suggested a new name reflecting the political structure of this superstate, the Imperial Federation, routinely shortened
Are you being
to the
serious?
Federation. In Star Trek, the Federation is only a...
Are you actually being serious? This is the biggest stretch. But
He's going ignorant, naive, schizo nerd.
Well,
Because he's not even once looking up what the word federation means.
or what it has become. Like, this is just the word imperial, but they dropped it, and therefore it's something we didn't know about. It's like well, no, that's not what happened.
Yeah, like yes, the United States is itself a federation of states. Germany is a federation of states, 16 by the way. It's not just one blob. We have different tribes, subcultures among the Germans, and all of that. That's like Great Britain, the United Kingdom doesn't count as I don't know if you count as a federation, but well, you are a bunch of kingdoms that are in together as one.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of that an idea.
The idea of an Imperial Federation, in all the years that I've done 1800s British history, has never come up at all. So it sounds like a fleeting idea by somebody just writing in a newspaper, like one-off.
Probably some socialist, because anytime it's about a global government, it's a socialist.
Why? Because the thing is, it's why, especially with the British Empire. It's just the British Empire, and it's just Great Britain, and that was it. There was no, let's let everyone else vote and agree. It's like, no. Why? Why do we need to do that? It's just more stuff to do.
Yeah, and the East India Trading Company, or whatever there were a couple of those. Aside, the British Empire at least had the spirit of let's make the world better, help people up a few steps, and get rid of this pesky slavery nonsense.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is,
which nobody had done before in history.
In most countries, just had like the governors would run stuff at their own discretion. So they were almost like semi-independent nations anyway.
Yeah.
So it just seems a bit excess.
Yeah, it's painted actively negatively.
Yeah, what we're going to say is, even though Britain had an empire, it was still very insular with its views, as in, it really only cared about Britain. If you know what I mean.
And look, in comparison to the Roman Empire, the people in there had quite a lot of freedoms as well, that Rome was not interfering in at all. Some argue that, in part, in the later stages, that is what helped the downfall of Rome, but this is a way more complicated topic.
Anyway, let's keep going on why he thinks a random newspaper article is the same as a federation in Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
After the empires of Earth have destroyed each other in nuclear war, from that destruction, humanity learns our lesson. That empires must
learns its lesson.
With federal power structures. Star Trek never tells us anything about the government of Earth, other than it is governed by a unitary world state. Are there elections? Is it a totalitarian bureaucracy? We never know. But there's a credible alternate history where Britain formed the first federal government of Earth, and London remains capital of a federal world state.
That's not even true in the Star Trek universe. Like, Ireland gains independence supposedly in 2024.
And they missed it.
In the Star Trek universe, so no.
Yeah.
Just going to say no there.
They had reason to riot, and they have reason to riot every day right now. They're still not doing it.
But yeah, the history of Star Trek is completely different anyway, because the eugenics wars happened in 1996. I don't know about you, but I think I missed it.
I think we have eugenics going on right now, but we are not doing the war.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but I'd rather have like people like Dunn running around than people like Biden.
Oh, jeez.
I'm starting to agree with Sargon. We need Mongol invasions, but there are no Mongols anymore.
Okay.
Even a galactic federation. Oops, I think I just gave the entire Tory party an orgasm. In fact,
oh my God, Margaret Thatcher. God, someone's been dead for over a decade.
I think,
also, she's a neoliberal.
I think she...
Bless her handbag.
Oh.
God bless her handbag.
Also, the Tories are... Oh my God. Right. The Tories are the right wing. I'm using quotation marks here. Heavy quotation marks. The Tories are right wing solely because they're not Labour. They agree with literally pretty much everything
right now?
That's liberal. Yeah.
The Tories right now is just controlled opposition. That's a socialist party, just like our Christian
exactly.
Democratic Union that is neither Christian nor democratic.
Yeah.
And you can argue about the Union part.
I swear to God, if he brings up the Falkland Islands as something, as some argument,
if he does, he has to run the Krusty the Clown clip.
This is something that I actually really hate, especially about a lot of English people when it comes to politics. They're perpetually stuck thinking that the Tories are like Margaret Thatcher in the 80s.
I wish they were.
Yeah, it'd be a lot better. But no, it's the Tories are bad because they shut down the mines and they're in charge of everything. The Tories, even in the 80s, didn't care about the empire. Like the Falklands War happened because Margaret Thatcher's husband owns land on the Falkland Islands, for starters. So she had a vested interest. B, her numbers in the polls were going down, and this would give him a boost. And C, the British public, the actual working class, were like, no, we can't lose part of our empire because the Falkland Islands are a completely English-speaking island. Like it was only settled and colonized by English people. So it's almost like Argentina invaded a part of England. So yeah.
Which part of Argentina? The German part?
No, the Hispanic part. The part that arrived pre-1945.
So it's not the native Argentinians. It's just another proxy war of the old kingdoms.
Oh yeah. But yeah, if I've got to listen about fucking somehow the Tories, this evil right-wing imperialistic empire, I'm just whatever. No, we're not. No, we're not.
Right.
Yeah. A funny little detail about Thatcher. Thatcher was a big fan of the show Yes Minister, and it's a bit cringy, and the actors really kind of hated doing it. But you can find a little clip where she sits down with the actors because she had written her own fan fiction script for Yes Minister, and then plays it out with Sir Nigel Hawthorne and the other guy. It's kind of cute in a weird way, but yeah, look it up. It's fun.
Oh, Fred North. I know like the name of whatever they call it, the Maldives or whatever it is. But I like to refer to Argentina as the West Falkland Islands now, so it feels a bit better.
It's a hell of an island, anyway.
Forced instead to declare itself an old-fashioned empire and destroyed our Star Trek potential while yapping about God Save the King. Nothing.
What?
I don't know.
God Save the King? Which part are we saying God Save the King? What recently with Charles? Yes, because Charles is definitely an imperialistic king.
Well, of the socialist world government empire. Of that one, not of the British people.
What the fuck is this guy's arguments here? This is like...
I felt like
feels like he went to sleep in 1986 and woke up yesterday and still thinks Margaret Thatcher's in charge.
He's getting a smattering of random facts on history. Something about empires, mostly British. And I'm trying to follow him along, and I can't quite connect the dots yet.
This feels like he's trying his best to somehow criticize the right wing in Britain under the guise of it being about the Star Trek.
I guess.
And he sounds really important by saying it like this. He only needs more of the ancient aliens' hair that goes all in all directions.
It's like
while pointing at red strings.
It's like a weird, random Steve Shives kind of ramble about Star Trek.
He has more energy.
I just don't know where he's going with it. I'm just like, okay, is this American criticism? Is this UK? Like, what are you trying to say? Is it about the show? Is it about the real life countries? Like, what are you talking about?
Because if it is like about the real life countries, I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
He's bringing them up, and I'm like, okay, and what does that have to do with the show? Like, give me an example. Like, what are we doing now?
Also, it's propaganda. What sort of what does saying "God save the King" have to do with Star Trek propaganda?
Yeah, it's like he did some research. I did some research. Let me write that down, and I'm going to use it in my script, and I'm just going to talk about it. And you're like, where does this? What are you doing with this information?
It's because Gene Roddenberry at some point said in an interview that Star Trek is his personal propaganda.
Sure, whatever, but that's death of the author crap, and no one cares what he said.
Yeah, but it's for him that means just he used the word, so I'm right.
Yeah, it's just the same with like, oh, DS9's so great. It's not great. The first few seasons were dumb. They were just random episodes, and then they're like, hey, let's do religion. Hey, let's do war. Let's do both. And you're like, oh.
And really hard to watch because the set was empty. As empty as the script.
They invented Rack to Gino. I was like, wow, that's great. Thanks for the lore.
I just don't understand what he wants.
Many of the values we honor in Star Trek began as pragmatic answers to problems in the British Empire. Those liberal values of diversity, humanism, democracy, and more that many of us watching Star Trek.
Wait. So you are admitting that what you call liberal values is just communism?
No, it's
and there's no humanism in that. But the diversity thing is that's bullshit. What you mean by diversity is not what other people mean.
No, he's saying that all these things were birthed in the British Empire, which would make the British Empire pretty good then.
Yeah.
To a left-winger's view, because they created all this stuff.
And it fought slavery.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
God, I wish we had the British Empire. God, can you imagine that? I'd have so much fun marching around South Africa shooting blacks. I mean, colonize. I mean,
the other blacks enslaving blacks.
Yes,
those were the ones. Those were the ones you shot.
Yeah, I'll say that. Yes, that's what I meant.
You need to add that. It's an important detail.
I'm trying to connect the dots here because he said like diversity or like the civil rights movement. I thought that was inherently American, and then there was other things happening in Europe and UK especially, but that was later. So I don't know. Is he just focused on the UK because he was talking about it for 10 minutes last, or is it like did he forget about the whole Americanism thing?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where he's like. What are you doing?
I feel like he's just going to be attacking the right wing with stuff because so far I don't get his point. I don't really. I'm not understanding where he's leading up.
Yeah, if he actually talked about the episodes and say, here, this episode they talk about this part of whatever, and you're like, this came from the influence of the French, and you're like, great, okay. Are they trying to proselytize it? Is it, is there some character that's a martyr for that? Because there are plenty of episodes in Star Trek where people die for their cause, whether they're assassins or freedom fighters. It's like, yeah, that's happened all the time. Is that what you want? Is that the propaganda? Okay, that works. Tell me, which episode? He's just pontificating about the 1800s.
vague things,
He's-
random
he's-
words. He'd be better off just talking about trains.
Just talk about Margaret Thatcher. Just do what you want to.
The Margaret Thatcher of Star Trek. Yeah, let's do that.
But what gets me is she gets brought up. She's been dead since 2013.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, like she's not. It's not like she's still alive. Like you have to remember as well, she was kicked out of office in 1990 because she was suffering from dementia.
Oh dear.
That's how she was. She wasn't prime minister when I was alive, and I'm 31 years old. That's how far back we're going.
Yeah. And look. Today you can be demented and be president of the biggest nation in the world.
Yeah.
Or prime
Yeah,
minister.
but back in the 90s, we thought let's not have someone who can't remember her own husband's name in charge. Let's actually have someone a bit better, like John Major, who was known as Mr. Boring. You know that show Spitting Image?
See how far we've come. We're not discriminating against the brain damaged anymore.
Oh boy.
Well, the guy we replaced him with in the comedy show Spitting Image was described as just being grey. That's how boring he was. So, hooray, Britain.
All right. 17 minutes and a half. I want to stop at 20 because I don't know where this is going.
So far, it's nothing.
Universal goods are also just the provincial values of Anglo-American culture that emerged as...
So you mean Anglo culture, because when you mean American culture, you mean white American culture.
That's not...
So it's Anglo culture.
That's not... Just say American. What
No,
values?
just Anglo. It extends from Britain, because what it means is, the white people. That's what it means. Truthfully, it's like Canadian culture. Is that what still stems from Anglo? Because the Brits colonized it.
Because the war.
Yeah, and don't forget a very large part of the American rural population is originally German.
He is not talking here about the American culture of the native Indians, because that's just casinos and drinking. So, or the Kinatawawi in Canada, that's just seal clubbing. These are not the cultures he's talking about. What he means is...
And drinking.
And drinking. I can't forget the drinking. What it means is...
The Maori in New Zealand is mainly kids driving cars into shops to loot them and drinking.
Don't, because I've recently watched, a PSA for Aborigines in Australia, tell them not to sniff petrol from cars.
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Do not sniff the petrol from the engine. Do. I thought, it's got a great beat to it.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Anyway, get on.
To building a global trading federation. Because this is what's missing from Star Trek.
What?
As a mythic representation of the Anglo-American liberal...
What are you talking about?
What?
The mythic representation of what? Why?
Oh, no.
Well, I need to hear this again. I'm just...
You can just say left wing.
I think you just fried my brain. I need to hear this again.
Oh, God.
Anglo-American culture that emerged as pragmatic responses to building a global trading federation.
Trading in Star Trek. Trading. Really?
Well, they probably do that when they...
They don't. They do. They make...
You don't always use the replicator. The replicator actually uses up a lot of rare resource energy.
There's barely any episodes of the Federation conducting trades?
Not the Federation as at large, but within the Federation. There are haulers in the Federation space, but we barely never see any of them. But there are goods shipped from one place to another at times. That does happen, but it's just
that's nothing to do
completely ignored because Roddenberry did not understand economics.
Well, yeah, but it's not in the story, so why bring it up? Like, this is so silly.
This is what's missing from Star Trek as a mythic representation of the Anglo-American liberal democratic culture that made it. That's the trade, business, the engine.
There's no money. They don't have
Yeah,
money.
they have
In the beginning, later on, they have wages and pensions.
No. What's it called? What are those bars called?
That's called Press Latrinum.
Yeah. Press Latinos.
He caught it.
Press Latinos, isn't that what ICE does? Oh my god, the Federation is just ICE.
Did he just make a bunch of jokes about how it's post-scarcity environment? But there's no trade, there's no business. It's like, yeah.
More reason why DS9 makes no sense.
Well, the Federation doesn't have any trade. The humans don't have any trade. Everyone else trades because they're like, we just don't trade.
Well, we can't just give the replicators to all the lesser species. They just blow themselves up.
Oh boy,
man, that's racist, isn't it?
Capitalism. Fairy tales about peasant girls who become princesses always leave something.
Oh, because both words start with a K.
How did we get to princesses? From trade to capitalism to Kirk to princess. What happened?
Look, smart. It totally makes sense if instead of just walking around these very, very picturesque ruins, he would instead stand in front of a wall with a lot of pinned on pictures and red strings that he's pointing at how everything connects.
Well, he's screaming to his imaginary friend. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm just pulling his hair out.
You can spot swear words in the graffiti, so I'm just keeping my eye out for that.
Servants.
What?
The new princess finds food and drink ready.
Right.
What?
Listen very, very carefully. Right. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. In Star Trek, they have this thing called a replicator, which shows you where they get all the food and stuff from. Sorted. In Cinderella, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but she's actually the servant in the movie to start with. So, also, out of all of them, one is actually a princess, and she spends 95% of her movie unconscious. So,
who's the black one?
From Princess and the Frog.
She wasn't black.
She was.
In the movie.
Not in the fairy tale.
No, yeah, we know.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. In the fairy tale, she probably cut her own foot off and fed it to the frog.
No. In the fairy tale, she throws the frog against the wall.
It's
super funny.
He's not going to help out here, so.
Yeah, that's not going to connect the dots for anyone. Anyway, servants.
Made. Clothes prepared, as if by magic. Capitalism built the power of first Britain, then America.
What are you talking about? How? What? Okay.
What?
Let it go.
What? Capitalism?
Let it go.
The British Empire was built by, like the East India Company.
Oh,
Much
God.
of its wealth came from resource extraction and slavery. But audiences
Who owned the ships? Just don't look it up.
Aren't going to sit down to watch Kirk transporting green-skinned slave women between star systems. Or
is she even a slave woman?
This one in particular? I think so.
Yeah, but does he transport them? A la the slave trades?
I think she gets killed.
The one that you fought against?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I saw that episode.
Or Picard putting down a planetary rebellion so Earth corporations can continue extracting rare dilithium crystal.
I don't even know where you're getting this.
What's there's no.
You wrote the script for this.
I don't know. Is this an episode? I can't remember.
No, there's no. What Earth corporations?
Why would you? Were corporations disbanded? Like when we had that episode with those 4 people that come back from stasis, and he's like,
yeah, because
how are my stocks doing? Well, we don't have those anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What? No.
We don't have money anymore.
I'm broke. My entire point of existence.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy, who knows Star Trek.
So where would he? So what corporations would be extracting rare dilithium.
I don't know.
With the closest I can think of is what the movie, like, was it Insurrection, when they want to get that stuff for the youth?
Yeah, they wanted to take the land and study why everyone lived so long. I think what was the movie with Shinzon? That's where it was
That's Nemesis.
Yeah, that was a mining ship, I think. This massive thing, but
oh no, that's you're mistaking it for Star Trek 2009. Nero's ship is a mining vessel.
Nero.
From
okay, sorry.
From Romulus, isn't it? And Shinzon, who was played by Tom Hardy, is supposedly a Reman, and that's a Reman warship.
All right.
So, and they both work down mines. So.
Yeah. Okay, I got those movies are just.
Yeah. The only one good thing about Nemesis is when the Enterprise crashes into it and it's a woman driving. And it's just like...
It's great.
It was great foreshadowing about that New Zealand incident.
Yeah, well, yes.
Okay.
Although these were standard practice for the Enterprises of the past,
but
as an idealized fantasy of Anglo-American culture colonizing the stars, Star Trek has to ignore. And so capitalism is nowhere to be seen.
Why would you put it in there?
Yeah, the idea is we've gone beyond everything in the 20th century. We don't need money. We've got all the resources we could ever want. This is the only way that the communist idea even slightly works, because there's no restrictions to anything.
Because humanity somehow figured out how to raise children properly, which means it's not communist, and leading to figuring out a reason to exist without this whole money incentive, but just finding meaning in life by doing something worthwhile that also gives something to society. Oh man, that is amazing that works. Damn. Not just being a poet. Yeah, not just being a bad poet who demands to be fed by society.
Yeah. But I don't. I don't know. I'm just whatever.
One more minute, and we'll finish this off. I'm not getting anything.
We should skip like a couple of minutes ahead and just see what craziness happens.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we can either make a part 2 or just look at the final 2 minutes of madness.
Even that seems a little boring.
You never want to do the final minutes of madness anymore.
Instead,
it only works for Maggie.
Simply absent.
No.
Explained away with hand-wavium matter replication, achieving post-scarcity and abundance. AKA space magic.
No! What are you talking about? It's not...
Oh, what? See, in the beginning, I gave him props for actually depicting the pro-space communism activist, interpreter, and now he's making the argument himself after all. Told ya!
This is so... Did he skip the whole thing where Roddenberry is like, no, we're above all these basic problems that we've had for centuries and millennia. We're now trying to better ourselves as individuals that help each other out. We don't have fights between... You mentioned the fights thing, that no one is having scuffles or little arguments that amount to nothing, or ego getting in the way.
It's not collectivism. Collectivism is based on ego.
And yes, it is a military-like organization, but it's not like a militaristic one. It's not trying to give you.
It has a hierarchy, a militaristic hierarchy.
Yeah,
the captain,
when you
first officer.
Yeah, but that's like a Navy thing, and even then, it's not that strict until they have like a war scene or a war episode. Like Jellicoe comes in, and it's like, okay, you guys are too inefficient. We got to get more efficient, and they're already efficient, but they're not as good as they can get. It's like, Troy, get the hell out of that damn outfit. Put a uniform on.
Troy, stop shutting off your cleavage.
Yes.
Get a uniform on.
I want triple rotations. I want this. I want you to, everyone's like, boom, boom, boom. We're on a military operation. Like,
right here. Get your face out of Troy's cleavage and put a uniform on.
It was like Jellicoe really helped everyone out. It's like, yeah, they did. And then finally Troy has a storyline to go get a freaking command position. You're like, oh my god.
And she was so bad at
that, though, is they portrayed Jericho as a bad person.
Yeah.
And like, no, he's just a reasonable commander.
He's just like, we're in a crisis. We got to do things now. We have 2 days. Boom, let's get it going. It's like, okay.
Yeah. And he succeeds. Everything he says goes according to plan.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I was right.
Yeah, exactly.
But the writers are like, ooh, that Jericho. You're like, no, he's all right. I like him.
He saves Picard. He foils the Cardassians. He gets everyone in tip-top shape. Everything works out. Everyone gets saved. He solves the mission. He's amazing. Wow.
That terrible man with his regulations and rules.
More redundancy.
Just success.
Yeah. The captain's not here. I'm the captain. You follow me. Oh, okay.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
And Wrecker's like, I don't like you. It's like, yeah. Okay.
I don't like you either.
It's not about liking each other. It's about getting the job done.
Yeah. What's he saying in that scene? Because there's actually 2 scenes about it, which I always find good. That when Jericho gives Riker a dressing down, and pretty much just explains to him that my one goal here is to make sure the ship's ready and everything like that. And do you remember that episode where is it Riker and Picard get kidnapped and it leaves Data in charge, and he has Worf as his second officer, and he has to reprimand Worf for talking to him, and it's like a proper it's a really good scene. It's so good, and it just shows that when it gets serious, Starfleet has got, its head screwed on with everything. Like 9% of the time, you can do whatever you want, and everyone's like equal and all this. But when shit hits the fan, there's a hierarchy. You listen and you do what you need to do.
Yeah, because Worf was like, we should do this and that, and he was questioning Data's suggestion.
Oh yeah, he goes. Data goes, yeah, we'll do this, and Worf goes, finally, like that, and walks off. And Data's like, can I speak to you in private? I never knew Commander Riker outwardly express things like that in front of the captain. Oh, what a scene!
And it's Data just being completely like practical and just straightforward. And that's
and then right.
And Worf
apologizes. Right, he goes, I apologize if this has affected our friendship.
Yeah, and Worf is like, oh, no, it's my fault or whatever he said. It was like, oh, this is great.
No, it's. Yeah, I'm sorry if this has ended our friendship. And Worf goes, no, it is I who must apologize for causing issue in our friendship. And it's like, oh my god, guys.
Yeah, it's stuff that you would hear on like a bunch of people on tour, and someone has a problem with their commander, and the commander's like, whoa, what's going on? And they pull him aside, and they have a little talking to, and it's like, yeah, this is what you should do. You have to make sure everyone's clear on the mission.
But do it in a way that doesn't embarrass the other person and show them up. Like, take it to one side, and the captain's quarters just be like, well, this is what I'm the captain, you're going to listen to me. Oh, like space communism where they just shoot everybody.
Or why we're not talking about capitalism more. It's it's so important that we got to bring up that topic and Star Trek. Okay, we got 30 seconds so we can take a break and
never talk about this ever again.
And forget this guy exists. Yeah.
The next generation makes explicit an idea implicit in original Star Trek, an idea which leads many to believe that the universe of Star Trek is socialist or even communist.
Oh my god.
Star Trek has achieved a post-scarcity civilization of abundance. And
oh, you mean in Star Trek nobody knows who their children are, and the children don't know who their parents are?
No. I think actually this is actually a good point. That I'm hoping he's making, as in like people believe it's communist just because they've reached such a point that they no longer need like capitalistic things. They don't need money because they can just make replicators. And people go, oh yeah, it's communist, and you realise, oh, so communism will only work once we get 200 years into the future and find magical elements that can just make things out of thin air and blah blah blah. And it's like, it's not communism; it's just fantasy. So hopefully you fall down that route. I doubt it.
And what we do see right here and now is that in places of resource abundance and just providing people with whatever fulfills their basic needs, they do not turn into the magical Star Trek enlightened mature people. They instead mimic the mouse utopia on a human level, where they instead completely regress into an emotionally immature, childlike state where they can't do anything anymore by themselves and just become more and more dependent on the state. Because what humans actually mature on is adversity, is a little bit of a problem to solve, is a little bit of pressure and well, something that's a little bit uncomfortable at the very least, and makes you try to overcome that. On the other hand, you have the eugenicists that say, well, that means all humans need a total super struggle that constantly kills them, and that is also bad. But in the end, that it would mean that if we do achieve post-scarcity technology, there might be some people who can handle that, living like that and improve themselves naturally, and billions who don't and will just perish. So yeah, you would have mass death probably through achieving this kind of technology. I don't know if that's what you envision.
All right.
Been abandoned. In a famous episode of Next Generation, Picard spars with a capitalist from 20th century Earth.
24th century. Material needs no longer exist.
Then in First Contact, Picard
That's
again
it.
asserts that Earth and the Federation no longer use money.
Economics of the future are somewhat different. Money doesn't exist in the 24th century. We work to better ourselves.
In the animated spin-off show Below Decks, a
Lower
new
Decks.
Federation planet is given matter.
This guy can't even get the name right. Why are we listening to him? What is this?
So that with First Contact, all right, he just says money doesn't exist. Okay. We don't need to go into the economic details of why it no longer exists. Especially considering it's like there's like 250 years between her time period and Picard's time period.
God,
do you know the economics of 1820s Canada?
Yeah, do we need to know what the gold standard was when there is no gold to be as a monetary base? It's like, oh, there is no economics. You're right. I guess there's nothing to say. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, it's like, imagine Picard's growing up in a world where we don't need to know about money. Okay, so explain money to me. I don't know. I don't know what money is. I just don't have it.
Yeah, it would just be, okay, what's our rate of consumption of dilithium? Like, oh, we're about 200 years supply. Like, okay, and that's like the chain, and everyone's making sure. It's kind of like fresh water. Like, how much water do we have in the tanks for the city? It's like, okay, our filters are fine, and our supply filters are coming in next week, so we got about 2 years worth. It's like, okay, good. It's like, it's important that with these systems, same with electricity, same with everything else, we know it's there, we know it's working. We don't know exactly the technology behind it. We could talk about reverse osmosis and filtration and distillation. We know it in theory, but to actually do it, the engineering behind it, no, of course not. You'd have to be an engineer. So, this information is really important. So we spent 20 minutes trying to get to this socialist concept of a post-scarcity. Socialism can work if there's post-scarcity. It's like, yeah, and so could like 5 other ideas when you don't have your basic needs are in jeopardy.
You could have a completely totalitarian government with post-scarcity.
Sure,
that still works.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of things.
So we don't have to farm for food anymore. We don't have to. We don't actually have to do anything. You can have any. You can have any government you want then.
Yeah. So I want to know why this guy gave us all this. Like he talked about was it the India Trade Group or whatever? It's like, okay, yeah, that was a thing.
The British East India Trading Company.
Yeah, it's like that's a thing. Yeah, that was a big controversy. And we get it. Yeah, that was a problem. Is that in Star Trek?
It wasn't even a controversy. It was just a company that existed that went, you could probably take over some land.
It did a lot of nefarious things. That's fine. It's
nothing controversial about it.
Yeah, they're fine. They're totally angels. Yeah.
Well, you had the Portuguese East India, the Dutch East India, the French East India. They're all doing it. Everyone's doing it.
They're all working together.
We didn't.
Well, all the Germans managed to get in the Hidden Empire was a small sausage factory outside of Dusseldorf.
Hey, we founded a brewery in Qingdao.
Well done. That's nice.
Yeah, and now they're pissing to the beer in China.
Shandong has its own culture based off German influence. This is true.
Yeah, and
their drainage actually works. It's one of the few places in China where the drainage works because Germans built it.
And it was also one of the main reasons why Britain declared war on it with World War I.
And why they have bread in China.
German influence in that area for my liking.
Everywhere else they just put grills on the grass and claim, oh, that's drainage because it now looks as if, and then the flood comes. And they wonder, why isn't the water not going away? Well, maybe you should have also dug something beneath the grill.
Anyway, I'm going to stop it.
Also, can I just point out this lower decks? It just looks like a Rick and Morty clone.
Yeah,
it is. It is. Yeah.
And a cheap.
So it's just like it's so like I don't take anything that it says as Star Trek because that's like Star Trek. Rick and Morty is like a serious program you should pay attention to.
Lower Decks is not Star Trek.
Oh, we've got memes, have we? Thank God.
My problem here is that I don't even know anymore whether he's arguing for or against the position that he
I don't know what
previously.
I don't care. It took him so long to say something, and I'm like, what is this? Why did you?
It's so random.
It's babble. This is not an essay. An essay has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I don't know what his premise was. I don't know what he was trying to say. The middle part was lost on me, or whatever what we watched, which should be at least the first part. Rambling about history that has nothing to do with the shows or the books or anything. And now he's talking about Lower Decks, which is a comedy. I'm like, no, stop.
But he said it all with a very important way of intonation.
Yeah, but it's Lower Decks is aimed at mentally stunted adults who haven't escaped puberty. So no, I don't think it should be involved in discussions about Star Trek.
All right, what's this?
Oh, yeah.
There's so many memes. Have you tried reversing the polarity of something? Oh, okay, that's great. There are 3 ways to do something: the right way, the wrong way, and the Jane way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely.
Sobbing mathematically. DS9 at 100% efficiency, DS9 at 99.9% efficiency.
Yep, definitely.
That's when we learned the standards for replacing the power conduits in DS9 were triple redundant or something like that.
Yeah, but look, also in the mirror, even in the mirror universe, O'Brien ran everything.
Yeah. Everyone was named I gotta read. Everyone was harmed during the making of this video. It looks like an 80s VCR recording.
I love it. I love it.
It's like, yeah, I probably the guy who played that just kept going. Cut. No, I'm still in character. What is it, Data? Captain, the tricorder scan suggests that we are stuck in one of the worst films in the franchise. Yeah, that was a really...
Yeah, but you know, looking back at it after the shit we've had to put through, I don't mind Insurrection now.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very long TNG episode.
Yeah, Well, it's more faithful to TNG than the other movies.
This is a great. I just love this. I'm assuming that's a one of those Lego sets that you can move. They're mechanical. And instead of making Simba, they just kind of total geek makes a Millennium Falcon. And there's
that's an award-worthy thing.
And in the top left, there's one of the Golden Girls on a calendar. And I don't know what the quote exactly is from which episode. I didn't know she was Italian.
Picture of his sister, Liz.
Is she Italian? I can't remember.
I don't know. I've never watched the Golden Girls. It slipped me by.
Oh, I was a kid. I had to watch it. So
yeah.
One of those things. Never go up against Ferengi when Latinum is on the line. That's great.
Just looks like Mel Brooks.
Oh, that's so good. Oh. Oh boy, that is good.
Yes.
Oh jeez, that's where they killed the guy. Actually, we killed him.
Where's the seventh one?
He's ran away. DS9 screenwriters to the director about every 4 episodes. Take this phaser and kill Chief O'Brien.
Yeah.
They bring him back in. Oh boy. State the last thing you did, then end the sentence with "for the glory of the Empire." Not to worry, everyone. Captain Janeway has a plan. Torpedo launchers are offline. Captain Janeway no longer has a plan and needs options. Get those tri-cobalt devices. Just blow the shit out of anything. They'll be like, "What's that weird?"
You're like,
dot?
What was it? What is it that? What I always like about Voyager is they always said, "Oh, we only have so many torpedoes left."
Right. Yeah.
And the next episode, it's back to full capacity.
Yeah, they have those rations for replicators, but they put them into weapons. It's just it's like, I don't need coffee today.
Sorry, people, we can't eat today. Jamie wants to blow up a small primitive planet.
I swear they use those things only twice. It's like it just blows anything up, and no one will see it coming. It's this little device. It's like, what is that? Kaboom!
It just makes me think of Neelix. What's for dinner? Nothing so far. Jamie wants to just use all the resources to blow up planets. 2 minutes later, good news, everybody! We've got some food. Jamie just blew up those planets.
There we go. Star Trek Transformers. Yeah, that was a thing.
Where they even had a Titan class Cybertronian scan the Enterprise.
Oh, fun. Oh my God! Here we go. Jim, I don't think she can type. In fact, I think she's just a cat in a uniform. Nonsense, Bones. She's too sexy to be a cat.
She's too sexy to be a cat.
Jim, please. Stop it, Jim, please. No, Bones.
It works in 40K.
I'm a doctor, not a furry.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Captain, my man, the Borg are here. We gonna die.
We're gonna die.
Oh man, that's two franchises. They were overlapping.
Oh, boy.
That movie. What was the name of that movie?
The Fifth Element.
The Fifth Element. Do you remember someone put a review about it, going, the one thing I can't believe is that anyone would spend time just listening to someone talk, for like hours and hours. Online, and it's like, oof.
That didn't age well.
You got that wrong.
Now, here's a bit of a reversal of the usual. Usually people, when they're featured on South Park, they're pissed just that they're made fun of. Mike, in this case, the person is pissed because they weren't in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Usually they get the people. In Germany, they also get the voice actors that do the American ones, the voice of the American ones for all the South Park characters.
Yeah.
Ruffles, deep ridged barbecue. Ruffles have ridges. A chip for warriors. Hey, androids need chips too. Oh. That's pretty cheesy. The Klingons 2055 and 2066. Did I missed something?
Mm-hmm.
If that something is Discovery, then yeah, you missed something and you're better for it. I love this episode, by the way. I don't care what the consensus is on it.
Today's episode is brought to you by the letter Q and the number 1. All right. Sorry, Meg. Daddy loves you, but Daddy also loves Star Trek. And in all fairness, Star Trek was here first.
Oh, no, you're not wrong.
That's a very good reasoning.
I don't need your fantasy woman, Q. I don't need your fantasy woman, Q. Enough.
No, I do need you.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Oh.
That happened. That was a wonderful, subtle scene.
Yeah.
Worf kept his composure, but you could definitely see his sadness.
Phasers are not a sex toy? What? I don't think I ever thought that.
My God, no.
Well, he's a holographic entity.
People who don't
and phasers are light stuff.
Few episodes, people who think Star Trek is serious. Me posting this meme again. Okay, thanks for the information, Admiral, and please excuse the banner. It's Captain Picard Day here on the Enterprise. Yes, we all know about Captain Picard Day.
Also, let me just ask: are any of the Q episodes in TNG disliked?
No, they're good.
They're all good.
Well,
there's one weaker one, but I can't remember. But they're generally all
the one
okay.
where there's a lot of ones on Voyager too, but the one with where he loses his powers is fine, but it's not. It's not really a Q episode. It's just sort of Q just going, "Oh, I should be better."
Just being there. Yeah.
It's also a bit questionable because Q should understand what sleep is.
Why I always like one thing about DS9 is the fact that Q turns up for one episode, gets punched by Cisco, and then never turns up again.
Yeah, that's one. If I'm being honest, that's one of my favorite Q episodes, just because of that.
He did
what? Picard never hit me. Yeah, I'm not Picard.
Oh, Picard.
It's also strange that the only captain to go to get violent. Well, no.
Okay, now. Okay, this one with Picard. Let me explain this one with Picard. Hold on.
Why even though we're going to make up 13% of all Starship captain?
Hold on. Smud, let me explain the one here with Picard and this character.
Okay.
This is actually a character from My Little Pony. The reason why this works is because they literally wrote him like Q, and they got John Delancey to voice him as well.
And he has tremendous fun doing it.
He's basically Q, but in My Little Pony, and he has at least a little bit more of a conscience.
He's fantasy Q.
Yeah, basically.
All right. Real acquisition of 286. If someone posts a quality meme, you're not only right to acquire it, you are obligated to acquire it. All right.
That does sound like a real acquisition. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Your work is done. You didn't do anything, didn't I?
No.
That's how I feel when Mrs. Hawk asked me if I've done the washing up. You've not done anything, didn't I?
Rest in peace, Leonard Nimoy.
All right. I take orders from Captain Picard, not you. Well, he's not here, and the Enterprise is mine now. Au contraire, mon capitaine.
Mon capitaine.
Okay. You're hereby relieved, Jellicoe, for being a douchebag. Get off my ship, both of you.
Well, fuck you too. Let's go, number one. Cue credits.
Horatio. What? This time
Horatio Gornblower
has a name. Gornblower. Oh my god.
Gornblower? What?
That could sound so wrong.
I know the Gorn fight is a memorable moment in Star Trek history, but come on.
Dun, 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 dun.
America.
Yes, Vasquez rocks. Moving on.
I understand your concern, Your Majesty, but unfortunately, Federation has control of our planet. Set course for Naboo. Har.
Yeah, because you've got the Trade Federation in Star Wars, haven't you?
What?
Roger.
Goddamn Mongolians.
Oh my god.
Ghost of Mongolians.
Me and the boys on our way to find a perfect call. Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Classic.
Having a go. U.S. parents say Peppa Pig is giving their kids British accents. What?
That's an improvement.
Show was second most in demand cartoon in U.S. households for a 12-month run that ended in February. According to
Look at that.
The sun will never set on British Empire.
Yeah, but look at it. Look.
It's such an improvement. It's such an improvement over the Teletubbies.
These Indian elephants. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh my God.
It's literally everything that Britain ruled over. Get used to it.
Is that Columbia at the top? Who is that? The spirit of something or other? I don't know.
The spirit of Columbia. What?
Oh, there's Rome or U.S. on the east, and then you got I don't know. Oh yeah, okay. You got a bunch of oh, this is wild. I want a painting of that. Just big.
Oh yeah.
Plaster.
Are you saying you don't have a painting? Everyone in Britain has one.
It's one of them.
It's right above our bed, so that we wake up, we go salute it.
Britannia.
Oh, Britannia.
Oh my.
Portuguese colonizing.
We have a stanza like that in our anthem, but we're not allowed to sing it.
Oh god. All right, we'll skip that one.
Those are the skulls of slave masters.
Sure. You have enough colonies. I want independence. You took my only overseas territory. Now my economy is going to collapse.
Literally, 90% of those are single islands, like 6 people on them.
My God.
Oh boy.
You don't want to know what those 6 people are doing.
Earth, I can explain. You get a sunset every 9 hours. Well, I only have one every 24. 24 hours. I get a sunset every 29.5 Earth days. You guys are getting sunsets?
That is good. That is a good one.
That was Norway who gets like 8 hours of sunshine or something like that.
Jeez.
Oh boy. Lists of places named after Queen Victoria. The list is incomplete. You can help by expanding it. You can help by expanding it. That's a hell of a bayonet. Holy jeez, that's a.
We also don't have enough Alexandrias yet.
Oh yeah.
We don't care about those.
Whew. What's this? Mars is declared a colonizable planet. Gentlemen, the time has come. Oh, not those guys.
Why is the Spaniard's head so small?
That's Richard Hammond, and he's just a small person.
Hey, Clarkson could just bite his head off, and it would fit into his jaw. You wouldn't even notice it.
Children remain calm. The Falkland Islands have just been invaded. What? Who? When did that happen?
The Falkland Islands. We're in a conversation about them.
How dare he did not post that clip?
I watch you for Eggman Empire. Join today at the nearest recruiting station. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what the hell am I looking at? Oh. Jesus Christ.
Who the hell are these guys?
That's a Warhammer reference.
Yeah, I know. I know. Anyway. Teacher, what are you laughing at? Me, nothing. My brain. The Otterman amp? Okay.
Damn. Oh, come on.
That would have been better.
No. I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space? Oh god! Oh, this is too much, guys. Come on. The Romulans, the Klingons are based in the Soviet Union, right? Yep. They're imperialistic and barbaric, right? Yep.
And the original series premiered during the Cold War, so naturally they'd be depicted as the bad guys of the series. That makes sense to me. Then Star Trek is anti-communism. No, it's communist.
Yeah, bullshit.
Never mind. Utopian socialist society. What socialist thinks it would be like? What it will actually be like?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta play some Alpha Centauri there. What do we got here? We promise you freedom and equality. Before freedom and equality, could we have bread and meat? Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
And that's
That'd be
it.
good. All right. Holy hell, that was fun. And by fun, I mean
sure.
memes were fun.
The memes were great.
Star Trek memes are always awesome.
Something else I wanted to mention that I didn't get. I put in the chat. You know when you talk about obviously long ago about the carriers and stuff like that, and I gave that brief history. Mass Effect used it in their world building.
Which is that? What are you referring to?
You know when this is about the could only build so many dreadnoughts.
Oh,
and
the treaties for preventing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Mass Effect actually took inspiration from it with like the Taurians and humans.
Which is kind of weird when you think about space being so huge, and you're like, oh, you only have like one. Did the humans only get one dreadnought, or was it like some?
Yeah, it's Taurians get for every 5 that the Taurians can make, the Asari and Solarians can build 3 of them, and the humans can build 1.
It seems very odd that you would want to limit your alliance's weaponry when they need to help you in times of
it's mainly because a dreadnought can pretty much destroy a planet if needs be.
Right, but the whole idea is that everyone's united and we need to stick together because we don't want anyone more powerful than the other. Like the Turians are already a goddamn military throughout space, and the Asari are already twice as powerful. You're like, oh, humans get 1 dreadnought. You're like, what? Excuse me.
It's mainly to limit things, but yeah, that was quite interesting. So when he brought it up, I was like, you are talking about the wrong franchise here. This has nothing to do with.
Humans get a commemorative dreadnought.
Yeah, with TNG.
That's why the humans make in the Mass Effect universe. The humans invent space carriers, which are as big as dreadnoughts, with the same firepower. But because say they're taking fighters, the council doesn't bother them, which is the same what happened in the real world. That's why in World War One. Naval battles were between masses of dreadnoughts fighting against each other, whereas in World War II, it's aircraft carriers and stuff fighting. Yeah.
Yeah,
bit of history.
Cool stuff. Neat. There's lots going on in when BioWare actually did homework and had intelligent writers and research stuff and planned stuff out.
But yeah, but then I thought to myself, like, he's talking about carriers. I'm like, I don't think there's even like a Star Trek version of like an aircraft carrier.
No, there's not.
So we don't have fighters, do they?
They barely have shuttles. I mean, they do have some shuttles, but it's like the generic roundabout was like the only thing DS9 ever had until the Defiant came around because of the war. So, yeah, no, it was always space stations and science vessels, and then Voyager,
and then the Enterprise.
Well, yeah, that was that was the show, of course, but even that they only had like 3 of them, and one of them got lost. So yeah, it was always like, oh well, we'll just keep doing the science thing with what we got with all our old 30-year-old ships.
And because I also it's like I know Babylon 5 had fighters and carriers and stuff. So I don't know whether he got things mixed up with different franchises.
Yeah.
Just went space.
Yeah, in Babylon 5 it works pretty well because shields don't exist there. So every hit does damage.
Well, it felt like the Navy. It felt like the military Navy in space, and they had all kinds of soldier characters. Even in Crusade, when it was like again basically a Mass Effect story.
Yeah.
Experimental ship and blah blah blah. You're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, humans seem to be the only ones who still don't have artificial gravity.
Yeah.
So we have the spinny things everywhere.
Yeah. So they make the ships look really cool, though. It's like just
oh yeah,
it's like windmills in space.
Yeah.
Well, there was
and
an episode,
and they've still got seatbelts.
Yeah, there was an episode. There was an episode with the Minbari. I think Delenn was explaining that we're going to share technology with you. You currently use gyroscopes to control your navigation. We can teach you to use whatever technology they were using at the time. So I was like, okay, they're going to do the Asari thing, and we're smarter than you by 1,000 years. Here's some technology, blah blah.
Isn't it that's when they make is it the White Star?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Which for some reason they deliberately run on only, I think, 0.9 G. Which generally is not that good of an idea to constantly run in a lower G environment.
No, but at the end of the White Star is pretty good because it can make a massive explosion.
Yeah, and it looks like a plucked chicken.
It looks, it's basically a shadow vessel with the lasers, but it's more maneuverable.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, cool, works.
Because then the ship that you're on about with Crusader, what are they called? Because there's that one, it's like Excalibur.
Well, that one, there's two of them. One was the Excalibur, and the other one I can't recall. But it was a Vorlon / Minbari / human technology.
Because Vorlon technology is regenerative.
It's alive, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's what's that? What's the movie called?
Oh God, the movies were horrible.
No, but the one that sets it up.
The beginning? In the beginning?
No, in the beginning is when about the Minbari Earth War, where you get the cool quote from what's his name? The Centauri. The main Centauri guy, what's his name? I've lost it.
Londo?
Yeah, Londo. When he talks about the humans fighting until the last minute and using their hands when they run out of bullets.
Oh, that when he's old, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the beginning. Oh, what's it?
The episode?
Babylon 5. Something. It's like in the future one where there's that illness. It sets up the Crusade TV series.
Right. The Jock plague and
yeah. Because I always remembered that one because as bad as the movie is, I always enjoyed when the fighting at the end, and is it the Excalibur gets badly damaged, and the captain sacrifices himself to blow up the Drax thing. And his final words are like, I promised to my daughter I'd keep her safe, and what sort of dad can't stop the monsters, or something, before it blows up. And it's like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that from
Yeah, as bad as the movies were, the setup, again, with the same problem with the original series, the setup for the show was never sold properly to the producers or the show, the TV station. So episodes were out of order. That's why they had to make that excuse to change the outfits. So they had to fill stuff in. There wasn't enough budget to finish the series. It was basically...
It's why the ending. They filmed the ending to season 4 and then postponed it to the end of season 5 because they didn't expect to get to season 5.
Yeah.
That's why he wrapped everything up in season 4. And then he got told, "Oh, you got another season." He's like, "What do you want me to do? I don't have anything here."
When they hired the guy from the Brady Bunch to play the captain, I was like, okay, he could do other things because he was in Office Space and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right. And then they have D&D in space again. Only I thought they were going to have a ranger, but they had a wizard or a technomage. They had a thief. Was it Drina, whatever her name was? And then they had the semi-telepath, second in command, or whatever he was. Everything was okay, yeah, this is good. Same idea, same universe. And I did not like the fact that the ship's main gun turned the whole ship off for 2 minutes or some bullshit. And you're like, oh,
what the fuck? Yeah, they had 3-point thing, didn't they?
This design flaw. It's
that green laser.
Yeah, the tri-laser big gun. Yeah. Oh, this is great. But the ship is completely incapacitated for 2 or 3 minutes. You're like, what?
That is such a Japanese design.
I don't know.
Yeah, I expect that from your average Japanese show.
I'm trying to think of why Straczynski would think along, but we got to make a really big suicidal attack, and then you just stop. Everything ends like you're a submarine or something. You're like, oh, what? Why? You're in space. You have super technology and regenerative health.
Let's be a glass cannon.
Something like that. Yeah. Well, the thing is, the skin on the ship was actually repairing or healing it when it gets hit. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So it's
movie's called A Call to Arms.
Oh yeah, the 99 one.
Yeah, that's what it is. Call to Arms, because they got that one, and then they've got is it Third Space?
Oh God,
that was a weird.
That was
movie.
They had
it had Martin Sheen in it, didn't it?
Oh, you're kidding!
I don't think I have that one.
They had Lockley as in there, and a bunch of other.
Yeah, because it's set during season 5. And it's like they find this thing with Third Space. It's like crazy aliens, and they have to try and like stop it down. And like Martin Sheen, like this weird monk guy.
I don't remember.
I'm 100% certain he's in it.
I don't remember Martin Sheen.
I'm sure he's in it.
Just an episode.
No, it's an actual movie. I'm finding this fucking guy. I'm sure he's in it. Wow, Babylon 5. What an amazing series.
Mm-hmm.
See, if he wanted to bring up politics, I think that would have been a good, like for science fiction on TV, that would have been a good place, because everyone respects the narratives of Babylon 5 because some episodes are standalone. There's actually a lot of those, but there's also an overarching plot that gets revealed later, which is what DS9 should have done, but they never planned out DS9.
Yeah, and it worked in Babylon 5, and for some reason the Star Trek producers didn't understand it and didn't see why it worked.
Can you imagine if they actually had the...
That's right. They had this is the argument for why they could have done with Voyager what they wanted to do, what the writers wanted to do.
If they just hired a good writer like Straczynski in Paramount, and he'd be like, okay, now I'm going to do my thing. This is how this is going to go.
Yeah, but then you would have to admit mistakes.
Well, the thing is,
that.
He would not have changed much. That's what I think. Like, he would not have changed the beginning and the end. Obviously, some episodes would have a lot more budget to do a lot more special effects and do more roundabouts and all kinds of other, or walkabouts, whatever you wanted to do with Franklin. And obviously, the CGI would have been a hell of a lot better.
Oh, so no, that's wrong. It's not Third Space. It's River of Souls.
Yeah,
he's in.
Okay,
which is another TV movie.
Oh, they were all just bad to weird. Yeah, the one was the Legend of Rangers or some bullshit. I was like, oh, this is so bad. It was so embarrassing.
That was really bad.
Only good thing about that one is it gives a nice little tribute to Jakar's actor and Franklin's actor,
Andreas Katsoulis and Richard Biggs, I think.
Yeah, because I think they passed away.
Yeah, but Jakar is really ham-fisted written in there. He doesn't really fit in. He's written as the fans like Jakar and giving wisdoms and such, and that's why he's now next to the Minbari Council and talking over the Minbari Council. Makes no sense. It's not the Jakar you have in the show who does say some wise things, but in that movie it's not well written.
Oh my God! There's another one, Babylon 5: The Road Home, 2023.
Oh
God!
What?
No.
What is that? I don't.
Is that the animated one?
Yeah. Oh my God!
No, that one's shit. One's absolutely terrible.
Don't even.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no! Why?
Don't watch it. Don't bother. Ignore it. I'd rather have Straczynski finally do his hand puppet sock thing movie. At this point,
that joke, yeah. No, he's too old. I think no one's going to pick up doing any science fiction anymore in his vein, unfortunately. But that's what it is. The best we get is
the Orville.
Well, no, that's fine. But there's that video game coming out based off was it Amazon or was it Netflix? I can't remember. It's the one with the belters and Earth and miners, and there's that silly...
Oh, The Expanse. No, The Expanse was shit. basic
the first
the very
season was great, but that's what the game
at the
is
point
based on.
Amazon picked it up, it went massively downhill.
Well, the company that's using the license is Owlcat Games, so they did Kingmaker. So and it's real time.
So I might make something useful out of it, maybe.
It looked like Mass Effect. It looked like a good third-person shooter. So I was like, all right, it's not turn-based crap, which is nice. I'm not gonna have a Telltale game out of it. It'll just be full 3D real-time third-person shooter. I'm like, that's what it demands. It kind of looked like Starfield, like just the perspective.
Oh no!
I know. I was like, it could be good. So who knows? If you see the trailer, everyone's like fighting upside down because they use mag boots and they're on the walls. I'm like, that's kind of cool. So could be good. That's all I'm looking forward to for space. Anyway, yeah, we can geek out about sci-fi all kinds of times and have this gentleman as a backdrop, but we would never want to watch him again. So, yeah,
it was kind of a messy mind.
I don't know why these people do that. They think they could just record their ramblings and think this is good. And look, and he's got how many views? Let me check. Almost 50,000 views 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Rambling about crap.
Yeah, but look at Red. She gets how many thousands of views? And it's just as unprofound.
I would say that's at least a bit more focused. This was just him like, blah, blah, blah about UK and the blah, blah, blah about the States. And then something happened 200 years ago. And by the way, Picard did this. And you're like, what? Please focus.
When you're less focused than Red, you need to reevaluate your life.
But Red is like she has a neuron, but she has like 70 ganglia sticking like just sticking out of it. She's like fires one, fires off, and one synapse crosses over, and it's like, okay, I think I.
Yeah, and all the others are orange cats.
I don't know. Red is painful to go through. Anyway. Let's go to bed. Let's get a drink. Let's exercise. Let's take a nap. Whatever it is you guys do on a weekend. Let's do it.
Raise my children. Sleepless nights.
From their bed. Wake up.
What are you going to read them the never-ending story at this hour?
To be honest with you, the fact that they wake up every 5 minutes, good lord.
Oh, well, yeah, then you can read them the never-ending story. They won't even notice that you're in another chapter.
No, I've got this other book, Moan Camp or something. It's German. It's just strange. Just found it.
Okay.
Yep. Alrighty.
So it's the never-ending story.
Oh.
Never-ending stream.
Anyway, good night, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.